Love inside a heart. Good afternoon, beautiful people, beautiful souls for joining this live stream. Good afternoon, Kay. Yes, present, Kay. And Ron, present. Good afternoon. Yes. And also Andrea, good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. So also from the Divine Solar Connector page on YouTube, from the Paint page, and also from the Philippine Academy of Intuitive page. Good afternoon and shop soulfully. Brian says hello. Okay, yes, I just turned off on the video. Hello, Kimberly. And hello, Josephine. Yes. Welcome to Bridging Science and Psychism Awareness Talk. Yes. So good afternoon, Mary Rose. And good afternoon, Loy, who's streaming in from YouTube. Thank you very much. And this is an event where our attempt is to bridge the inner knowing and meeting modern understanding. Yeah. So for those who doesn't know me, good afternoon also, Bert. Yeah. For those who doesn't know me, my name is Alma Yari. I am an intuitive guide and teacher, and I'm very thrilled like to be sharing all of these things to you. This is going to be a mind-blowing, mind-expanding, and eye-opening experience. Yeah, so get your popcorns or your chips or whatever you need and your glass of water, because there's just a lot to digest today as I attempt to give you the modern research that can bridge, understanding of the ancient practices that connects to how we can tune in to our intuitive sense and our psychic abilities. So tonight this afternoon and the next 2 hours, hopefully we can talk about something very, very powerful, and that it might help give hope to you and inspire you. If you're a skeptic, if you're a researcher, yes, maybe you can look more deeper into the things that I will be talking about today as I delve into the modern sciences and connecting it with ancient knowing, inner knowing, and like to see that they're actually now, it's very exciting times because we are in the age of this kind of revelation, where before science and intuition has always been enemies, has always been in the two sides of the spectrum. And we are now in the day and age where we're witnessing how science can now actually prove and explain, make us understand how these things that were considered taboo before is actually possible. Yeah. And thank you for technology for giving us a template into understanding how things work. Yeah. Now they're becoming more of a partner. And as I will reveal later, how, even our biology can now be actually used in technology. Yeah. So if we want to advance, as and evolve as a human race in the future, you would realize like intuitive development is a birthright, and it's your birthright, and you can kind of reclaim that birthright through training. So good afternoon also, saying also good afternoon to Arnie and to Daph. Maybe you can guys also give certain introduction of who you are, where you're coming from. Yes. And as you engage into our discussions, I will also be giving some gifts, for those who have some gifts in terms of how people like in terms of your engagement and good questions, that could enrich this discussion. Again, so I will just explain a little bit more because this is a little bit heavy topic. And to remind you that I said it's a lot of information. And so we will give ourselves spaces in between to kind of like have a breather. And that's the reason why we will be having certain games, or lotteries or gift givings and that, yeah, and discussions. So let's begin. Okay, so that's one of our dogs. He's running around here in the center. I'm, by the way, for those who doesn't know, I'm broadcasting from Shop Soulfully in Taguig, and behind me are all the crystals that we sell. Not all, some of them are around beside me, left and right, and in front. Okay, Kimberly says this is very exciting. Currently in Milan. Yeah, good morning, Kimberly from in Milan. Like I like Milan. Yeah, I like Italy as well a lot. So and also Danaya just chimed in. Let's begin, by kind of grounding into this space. Let's close our eyes. I put a little bit of music on the background, and I don't know if you're hearing it there. And as we take a moment to close our eyes and just watch our breath, like taking conscious breath in and out, in and out, in and out, tuning out into that quiet space inside of us. And that space where we have a knowing, the part of you that already knows why you are here, why are we gathered together. Let's just tune in to that and say hello to that part of us. And try to sense how it feels to get in touch of that inner knowing. As we open the door between the rational and the intuitive, and whatever inspired thought or knowingness that comes out of this connection, whatever it is, regardless if we understand it or not at the very moment, we offer it to our highest concept of divinity, to the highest version of ourselves, or to the highest version of beingness. And for some people, we call this God. We offer all this knowingness to God. And as you feel and as you offer in humility, emptying yourselves up, connecting to your highest concept of divinity, breathing in and out, feel the response from above, and allow your being to open and receive. As you breathe in and out, let this energy flow from the top of your head. Let it simmer in our body. And we maybe store them in our hearts. As we say to ourselves, may this event trigger to awaken my remembering of who I am, so I can evolve to my highest version that is possible. That this intention simmer in our DNA as we say, so be it. Breathing in and out, and now going back to the awareness of your body and to the presence. And now we come back to this awareness where we're together, connected by this, by our gadgets or laptops online. Yes. And try to sense how you feel at this very moment about, are you excited? Are you like, is there any sense of intuition, insight, or any form of word or message or symbol that comes into mind as you are able to tune in to this inner self? Also, good afternoon, Rods and Julius. I don't understand what it means, music desertakan jugala. I don't know what that means. Maybe you can translate that? Something to do with the music. Okay. Let me, maybe it takes a little bit of time to simmer in and come back. Yes. So good afternoon again to everyone. And this is pretty exciting. To say, my name is Alma Yari. For those who doesn't know me, you know, I am a guide, connecting the spiritual, the immaterial, and the material. Yeah. Kimberly says she's feeling settled, grounded, and connected. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for that feedback. Okay, so my hair is going all over the place because the fan is in front of me. It's a very hot Sunday. So that's the reason the fan is on my face. And yeah, as I said, this is a pretty exciting time. Said Vince says just in time. Good afternoon also to Gio. Yeah. We're talking about bridging science and psychism. Okay, today, where inner knowing meets modern understanding. And so I hope you can all join in their discussion. And I'm just, pacing a little bit because before I kind of give everybody a whole lot of information, it might be just letting you know it's going to be information overload as when we start. Yes. So it's been a pretty exciting time. And my role here is just a messenger with the purpose of as a connector. I wish to connect, the left and right brains that we have. Where I come from, the reason why I'm into that, I'm not a scientist, but I graduated as a public health in UP Manila. Before that, I was in Manila Science. And so I was kind of really interested to the sciences. My favorite subject was biology, microbiology, all the biologies. Yeah. Genetics. Yeah. Those were all my favorite subjects when I was in these schools. But I was supposed to go, and I also studied nursing. And I was supposed to kind of go to the path of being a medical doctor. But then my soul just didn't want to do it. I wanted to skip it because my intuitive side is really not only knocking on the door, it was dragging me, And even if I was, I've been a researcher I was an I was a research associate for the UNFPA, United Nations Populations Fund, and we were doing research on reproductive health before, and also went to being a research associate in some other institutions. So I really loved research until I put kind of stepped into the pharmaceutical industry, where I spent 11 years of my corporate life before I really plunged into um, making this side of me a profession. So I gave the left side of my brain a chance, but just my soul doesn't really kind of wanted to skip that part for some reason. That although I did experience this a little bit, and now I kind of delved into it with the intuitive side, like full throttle, and that made me first. It made me go to NLP, and then it made me go to no. Before that, I was in the was able to create like a course called Psionics in Cebu. I was teaching in psychic development in people in Cebu Paranormal Society in 2006. Then went to the Spirit Questers, was there for a long time until it dissolved. And then we created we created Esoteric Society of the Philippines, and then created the Philippine Academy of Intuitives. But yeah, and also was also in pranic healing since 2002. I was already a healer doing Arhatic yoga, and it's just keeps getting better and better as I delve into plant medicine, delve into tantra, delve in Zen and all those others, different kind of things, exciting things. But now I'm taking a step back, and my interest in science and trying to understand, not to prove, but really to understand how things work. Because if I understand the principles, it will be easier for people to get it in the classes, and it's easier to bridge. When a person understands something, it's easier to bridge and teach a certain technique that has some form of repeatability. Because it's hard most often when we go to Psychism. It's just you do this, this is how they train. Like they give you a ball, you stare at the ball every day, and that's it until you see the aura of the ball, and nobody explains how exactly you do it. So that's a bit of training. And in the Spirit Questers, we're just being trained through it. We have simple back training, a little bit background training, and then you're on the field and you train there in the field. So that's how it was. So now we're at the point where it's pretty exciting, because there are a lot of cosmic events that's happening now. And for those who aren't aware of what these cosmic events, just look at the skies. The sun, our sun, is kind of behaving, so a little bit erratically, or maybe we haven't really noticed it before, because now we have instruments that can monitor the sun and its activities, and we are in a whole lot of storms coming from the sun. There's just a lot of things happening from the sun that is kind of like targeting all of its waves, cosmic waves to us. And the reason why it's exciting, because they said it hasn't happened like in a very, very long time. And this can be also some form of explanation why there are a lot of things, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and all the temperature rising up is because of this cosmic events. And spiritually, these cosmic events are actually targeting us, our DNA, because we have, and I will explain later how important the activation of our DNA to psychism, and it's now can be explained by science and by research. That's why it's like pretty exciting, because we now kind of have a peak of understanding of what if these things are happening, and how it will happen, and why it's happening, and what to expect from it. So aren't you excited? Just let me know. Like raise your hand if you're, or comment below if you feel excited about the coming times. It's pretty intense, challenging, but it's very, very exciting, and you signed up to be here in this moment. Okay, so let me just change the now we go a serious note where we start our discussion. I wouldn't be doing a PowerPoint presentation, but I will show some pictures. And yes, Arma said, Georgina says she's excited. And yes, A is very excited as well as Mary Rose. Thank you for your feedbacks. But I will flash some pictures, to aid our discussion. And let's begin with our senses that we have now and how we have been programmed. Let's dive in. And I want you to this is one of my favorite, parables. And this parable is actually from India. But although in the picture, if you could see there, these are guys in lab coats. So this is the parable of the six blind men and the elephant. So the six blind man, the story of this parable is that they came across an elephant for the first time. And since they're blind, they got into the different parts of the elephant, and each touches one part of the elephant and draws a conclusion of what an elephant is based on their limited experience. So if you see one of them touches the trunk and says that, oh, the elephant is a snake, because the trunk is like a snake. And another would touch the leg and say, oh, it's a tree trunk. And then the other would say, oh, it's a fan because it was touching the ear, or a rope because it was touching the tail, and so forth and so on. And the reason why I really like this parable, because we are like these six blind men, and the nature of reality is the elephant. And we are always, before the internet, before that we were connected in, there has been limitations of information shared, and so the evolution was a little bit slower. And at the same time, our senses were a little bit, let's just say, limited. Limited. Our physical senses are said, were observed when science came about. It was observed to be limited. Okay, so there's a comment here. Let me see. I'm so happy for that. Yeah, good for the cosmic events, I guess. So, for example, because I'm more clairaudient than clairvoyant. Like, that's really my main is clairaudience. And so, like, my physical hearing is also a little bit, I don't know if it borders between clairaudience or just I have a fine tune of hearing, like, because I was in the beginning, like, I as a child, I like harmony and I can sing in harmony, and there's a lot of people who can sing in harmony and cannot sing in harmony, and that is because of the hearing. Yeah. But the frequency range of our hearing is only 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's the kind of the range of hertz that we can hear. So the peak sensitivity with, if a person is around 2,000 to 5,000 hertz, then you could say that that's the peak, of the sensitivity of the ear. But beyond this range, so that's like the dogs and the bats, they can hear lesser than 20 hertz. They can hear the hertz that's lesser than 20. And that's the reason why there are whistles where the dogs can hear, we can't hear. And the dogs can like tune in to the sounds that we can sound, because they're kind of hearing the infrasound. It's called the infrasound. That's the frequency range. And then there is the ultrasound. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I mixed it up. The infrasound is not for dogs and bats. That's the ultrasound. The infrasound is for those people who kind of like, quote unquote, hear, but actually feel earthquakes. That's lower than 20 hertz. So for me, like, I would get dizzy when an earthquake is about to come, and some of the people would kind of, some of the people that I know and I've been with, they kind of know that part of me where I'm very sensitive to earthquakes. I can't, I just can't predict when it's going to happen, but I know there's something that's going to come, but it's more of felt rather than heard. So because our hearing can only up to 20 hertz, beyond that, becomes like a vibration, and that's how I feel. I feel my our ears has this apparatus that makes us feel balanced, and usually when we're dizzy, it's something to do with problems with ears. So that's how I feel. I feel dizzy when there's an earthquake coming. That's called an infrasound. Yeah. And for those beyond even that, where the dogs and the bats can hear, it's called the ultrasound. And this ultrasound, it's you kind of like it's very familiar. It's what we use in the ultrasound when we look at the baby. That's the ultrasound. Yes. Good morning, also, Lynette Quintos. And yeah, Bert is saying different points of view of what is reality. Exactly. So, in the intuitive perspective, this is what you call clairaudience. When the hearing is beyond this range, we now call them extrasensory perception, or or beyond other senses. So the extrasensory perception of hearing is for clairaudience, which may refer to the frequencies, and some of us, because of what's happening, the cosmic events and stuff, I've learned, like, I know some of you are already experiencing the ringing of ears. Yeah, so anybody who has experienced this ringing of ears, you can like share it in the chat, and maybe we can decipher what is that, why are my ears ringing. Okay, so, and then let's go to kind of the vision, because in the vision, our visual sense can only detect 430 hertz to 790 terahertz. That's the vision. In terms of wavelength, it's called 390 nanometers to 740 nanometers, where in the visible spectrum, when we see violet, that is the highest frequency of vision, that's 380 nanometers. When it's red, it's the lowest, which that's a 740 nanometer, which is low frequency. Okay. So Andrea is saying yes, so often that she hears this kind of the ringing of the ears. Yeah, me, as some say, the lack of vitamin B. Maybe try, Miss Arma, to kind of do vitamin B supplementation, but if it doesn't stop, maybe it's something else. Yeah, it's good to kind of take care of the physiological aspects first, just to determine whether it is really extra something different. And ears ringing sometimes on the right, then sometimes on the left as well, and ringing so often. So I've met, when I was healing, before I was healing, I met a person who has this ringing like all the time. Yeah. And we tried to heal it like in energetically, but I told them, like, this is not energetic, it's beyond, the pranic healing touches the etheric body, it's beyond that. And I've also met another person who this time in Sweden, who also have this kind of ringing nonstop. And then I've also met a person who's a Filipina who have this ringing from time to time. So it's a little bit difficult to determine which is physiological, pathological, and which is spiritual or energetic. Yeah. But how we, in Spirit Questers, I was trained how we deal with this is we always address first the physiological. If it cannot be addressed, then that's a time that we go to the energetics, to the spiritual, and that kind of protocol kind of works. Like, you go from one gradient to another. Okay, so here, in the long run, I recognize that my ears kind of rings like as if nagsasara siya, and that's the sign for me na may dadating na message or download. It's a preparation for me. It took some years maintindihan. It's true. Like, when you it takes for the psychic senses to develop, it takes a long time for you to decode how your own energy is reacting to external stimuli. It takes a little bit of relation with oneself and oneself's energy to understand And for me, Kimberly Wells, that also like took me some time. Whenever that there is this, usually when we practice shielding, for example, and then there is somebody that wants to kind of send some form of information to you, good and bad, like uh, it kind of like slaps on my shield, and my shield just oscillates, and that creates the ringing. Yeah, it's different when it's totally different, because when that happens, it means like, oh, there's somebody's trying to get the message, give me a message. Yeah, but there's also a ringing when I was younger that I could hear and I could interpret. And this is the it's like a Tibetan singing bowls that kind of like vary, and it's also a ringing. It's like some kind of music, and when that happens, usually I see like angelic spirits. So that's how the angelic spirits present to me. Okay. So, yes, exactly. Check up muna siya. Yeah. Yeah, but if it checks out all the time, then sometimes along the way you would understand like, you can now delineate between what is pathological and um, what is really like psychic. Yeah. For us, from time to time, usually before during meditation. Yeah. Um, maybe also the shift later, I will discuss the shift of energies also will be there. Yes, ash blue, it's called tinnitus. So there are tinnitus that's caused because I have a nursing background. Some tinnitus are caused by infection or even caused by antibiotics. And there's some tinnitus that is caused by something energetic, and there is something that is caused physiological. So there's a lot. Yeah, sometimes it's the ears are clogged. Yeah, okay. So we go back to the vision, right? Like with vision, we now kind of it's very obvious that our vision is not the absolute vision of reality. When we see reality visually, it's our dogs and even the fly, they see the world differently and in different colors, and it's really dependent on the frequency of the field of vision. But the visible light is actually very like light is very big as compared to a sliver of light that we can see. Yeah. And in the intuitive parallel, that's the reason when the extrasensory perception, meaning extra vision from the average, is called clear vision, because you can see like outside this 430 790 430 hertz to 790 terahertz, like between these 380 and 740 nanometers, like that's what you call like that's what the clairvoyants see. Okay, so when we go to touch or tactile, that's another sense. Yeah, and it's also kind of limited. Usually there are two corpuscles that we have in our body. I'm going to be a little bit anatomical. So there's what you call the Meissner corpuscles, which kind of it's around 10 to 50 hertz, and then it's the light touch. Whereas the Patinian corpuscles, it's 600 to 40, and it kind of that's how when somebody massages you, when the massage says, is it soft or is it hard? You say hard po, ma'am. So that's the Patinian corpuscles that you feel, because it's the one that kind of senses the deep the deep pressure or the grosser like vibration. And also our touch can also sense temperature as well, but this is based on like the wavelength of or the intensity of the infrared radiation. So that's how we sense the temperature. In the intuitive side, the extrasensory perception of our sense of touch is called what? Clairsentience. Yeah, where we feel vibrations or frequency, possibly from the electromagnetic or emotional fields that are usually not detectable by these corpuscles, this skin. It's something outside of that. And there is a specialized um, sensation, extrasensory perception, where you can actually feel what others feel. And that's what you call empathy. And there are different kinds of empathy. There's emotional empathy, and there's like medical empathy. That's why there are medical intuitives. So this is one of the senses that I kind of like blocked within myself when I was very young, because I grew up, I see na yung mga laking palo dyan. No? People were kind of like disciplined by the rod. Because like with my mother, God bless her soul, like when I was young, she would kind of like, the more that I cry and express pain, the more that she hits me. So I would kind of like suck it up and not express it. So in the process, I kind of like repressed it. But I would have the natural ability to feel what other feels physically. So whenever there's a person who have this kind of condition, I would feel it in myself. And from time to time, I can employ that. When I was doing pranic healing a long time ago, it was kind of making myself, it was the handy kind of ability, but it isn't like very pleasant. Yeah. So there is also the kind of empathy. Yeah. And then there's what you call that there are two lesser, is they're not really lesser, but they're in terms of psychic abilities, like they're not really more of recognized. But our sense of smell and sense of taste are also very important senses, and it's also limited. The smell is not measured by frequency. It is measured by a certain kind of vibration or the shape of the molecule. And this is the basis of the essential oils, because plants emit like certain molecules, and some certain molecules have a shape that when it goes to our olfactory nerves, kind of produces something in our body that makes us well. Yeah, so that's the basis of all essential oil um, uh, therapies, because our smell, a sense of smell, detects not only through vibration but by molecular structure. And for those that are more of in terms of vibration, there that's how the intuitives or the clear lens, I think that's what it's called, the clear lens, people who are very in with smell, can smell like non-physical sense. No, it's not because of the molecules, but because there's a certain kind of vibration that gives them a smell. So for example, there are, like your experiences when you smell like a whiff of flowers out of nowhere can sense a spirit or a departed loved one, or sometimes it's candles. Yeah. And or any kind of emotional or spiritual presence. So one of the things, how like our sense of smell is limited. And yeah, nangangamoy kandila, so that's clear, like clear arillets. Yeah. And for me, I'm very keen with my sense of smell, can smell the different kinds of spirits before I can hear them, feel them, or see them. I smell them, like especially when I do certain ceremonies, when I hold a space, I can smell like from that there is something coming. And I can hear them at the same. There's something coming that's not good by the base of smell. I can smell, even if I don't see a spirit, but I smell it. I smell a certain scent, then somehow I can already decipher that if this is a good spirit to connect with or not. Yeah, that's how I do it. Also, when with energies of people, or when you go to a place, it's not physical scent. It's a scent that's not there. Like it may be very clean, but then you will smell something else. Okay. Okay, so there's a question here, and yes, it's also hard for me to be in hospital, talagang cramps and sometimes vomiting that makes me feel better. Can make agreement for that. Ate, no, if I press, I don't want to find that anymore. You have to understand, Kimberly, like, yeah, I that you have to have a command of your energy in order for you to kind of go into places. Well, one thing is shielding and protection can help you a lot, but really like the command of your own energy, so you can have command of all of your extrasensory perception. That took me a long time to develop, and and that a long time to develop because when um when I was young, nobody was there to teach me. I was just like open to everything, and I didn't understand that I can close and regulate this. It took me a long time of trial and error and practice and experience, like to understand, like, oh, there's a switch where you can turn off and turn on all of these things, that I can have, like, I can go to funerals and places and stuff that I'm not going to be affected. But what I want to tell you, Kimberly, is that you're not helpless in this, only if you find time to learn it and to practice it. Yeah. So there is a comment here. I think the ear ringing is something else when you have no ear infection or medical condition, because when you have that symptom like ear infection, for example, you're supposed to experience other things like pain. Yes, and also fever because it is inflamed. So it's not just ear ringing. Just to be sure, consult a doctor. If there's none, it may be something. I have a nursing background, so I can separate things from science. Yeah, that's very good, Mervin. Yeah, and that too. Like it takes time to really master your state of what it is and delineate, is this physical, is this physiological. There's no other way. Nobody can tell you that except yourself, because it's your own state of awareness. Okay, so actually clairaudience or olfaction sometimes is more connected to clairsentience, because again, it's because of the vibration. So if it's an extension of your clairsentient ability, this clear olfaction. Okay, that's the reason why you can sense or smell spirits, because you feel them. It's a different kind of expression. Now we go to the fifth sense, which is taste, as I said, and this taste is mostly chemical. It's chemical between that gives their chemicals that gives a sweet taste, a sour taste, a savory taste, a salty, a bitter taste, and all those things. And so in the intuitive perspective, like there are flavors also that are linked to kind of spiritual presence. For example, metallic tastes. Yeah. And sometimes when you're doing seances, sometimes I could taste something metallic in my tongue, like I know, oh, there's a spirit presence. Actually, when it's a metallic taste, for me it's more of extraterrestrial. So we call this clairgustance, which can manifest like a sudden taste of something very specific. So sometimes it can taste like blood, can taste like chocolate, doesn't matter. But it is actually associated also with energetic impressions and spiritual communications. And mostly it's common to people who are mediums and medical intuitives. And then also some people can sense, illness, trauma, and personalities just through taste. Yeah. So the gustatory is a combination, is also an expression of the clairsentient. So these are all, I think empathy and clairsentience are expressing through different ways. So are also olfaction and our taste. Okay, so when you say psychism or ESP, this is the expansion. That's why I was going into the different kinds of senses and the limitation of our senses. We're limited, and everything outside that is supposedly our physical apparatus of our senses cannot detect this kind of vibration. But why is it that some people do detect them and some people aren't? Why are people, some are psychic and some are not? You know, what kind of creates that delineation? No, and this is where I would want the first thing that I want to give very exciting research about, because in the beginning, man wasn't always like that. Man didn't have, in the beginning, man didn't have a limited sense of perception. And I just want to give you like a very interesting study in the past. It is a study by the Institute of Noetic Sciences. So this is like uh, an institution that's kind of devoted into all of these kinds of psychic phenomena, connecting it to science and that stuff. And what they did is they kind of gathered all the psychics, and those who are, they claim that they're not, and they tried to gene sequence them. No, they looked into their genes, like what makes the psychics different, and what are the gene markers of a psychic, and what are the gene markers that not expressing psychic abilities. And let me see if I have that in my media. Yeah, I have it. So they actually published this, I think, in 2021. Yeah, 2021. So very 5 years ago. And you know what they found is that they found a gene. They found chromosome 7. You know, there's something in chromosome 7, and to be very specific, it's called TNRC 18 gene. I don't think you need to know what it means, right? But for those who are kind of like geeky about this, it's called the trinucleotide repeat containing gene 18 protein. Okay, so it's a non-protein coding region. They discovered that the psychic in the psychic group, 90% of them have this gene in the chromosome 7, right? And I would like make you see a little bit of how does it look like. So this is a genome sequencing, and the one with the red box is the chromosome 7. That's it. Yeah, just to make you see that that's what and what does it mean? What they found out, that this is actually the base, like this is what's supposed to be natural, because the others who doesn't have it, their chromosome, this TNRC 18 gene in the chromosome 7 are actually mutated. No, they're actually mutated. That's why they don't have it. So which means in evolution, we have lost this capability of this expanded awareness or extrasensory in true evolution, our limitation of our senses, we limited our senses. So that's what it means. So, but then, what they also saw is that people who have grown up and spent more time living in the places where there is a lot of natural, with nature, there are more people with the unmutated gene in those places as compared in the people who have grown up and who have lived, in the urban areas where there's high Wi-Fi areas and stuff. So it's very interesting that to kind of imply from this that our urban lifestyle, there's something to do with the internet and the Wi-Fi and our lifestyle that has kind of like limited our senses. Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? That now we have this kind of DNA things, right? That to understand what they have and what they don't have. Yeah. Exactly, a lot of electromagnetic pollution that has caused kind of people to evolve, to mutate their genes, so now they've lost kind of their ability to sense more. So what if, for example, like for me, like I grew up in Dumaguete City. Thank God they brought me to Dumaguete City. So like I grew up, hopefully that the gene wasn't really like not so much mutated, yeah. And but the thing is, what if you might ask me what happens now to people who has mutated chromosome 7? Am I deemed doomed to kind of have this limited awareness and limited senses? Can anybody answer that? How can I develop now my ESP, right? Like, because it's now, you're saying that because of this gene, that only a few people can have this kind of, can go with this ability. Now let's go to another exciting gene study, because there is another study that it's called the DNA waves and water experiment, which is conducted by a certain virologist. I think he's like a Nobel Prize winner, something like that. He's a French, Luc Montagnier, yeah, and his team, in this was done in 2010, which they claim that so I'm gonna show like how they set up this experiment. So there are two test tubes of water, and at this time, I think Masaru Emoto has already published his book about the emotion, like the how the water can store information. Yeah, if you don't know about that, go to Masaru Emoto and find like messages in water. So what they did in one test tube is they put one DNA in one test tube, put it into this apparatus somehow to kind of record, to record the signature of this water with DNA. And I try to emit this through, I think it's infrared. It's a certain kind of wavelength to emit this in all the other test tubes. Yeah. And what's the exciting thing about this is that those test tubes that didn't have DNA suddenly having imprints of information that even when they put like even if like they put like when they put like certain stuffed PCR reagents, and these reagents are the ones that kind of like detect the sequencing of the gene. So I'm sorry, it's a little bit geeky, but then it started creating that gene. So which means that uh, the gene, the DNA can be transferred, the signal of through a certain signal. Yeah. um I think it's through a low frequency electromagnetic field, like it has replicated in a water that didn't have the DNA. Isn't it exciting? Like, isn't it like, what does it mean, May? Which means, like imagine ourselves, we are a test tube of water, and we're basically, by body weight, we're 60% water. Yeah. And for example, there is like, let's say Uri Geller is one of the super psychics. Who else? There's a like super psychic. Imagine if I spend more time with Uri Geller. Yeah. And that it means that that they can imprint. The more I interact with the super psychic Uri Geller, the more that I interact with them, the more that this gene that I can reclaim, that I can create the imprints of this gene within me, so I can reclaim my original template, just basically by exposing myself in certain environments, like a person who has this gene, for example. I hope you're able to kind of get the implication of this, and gives you and reflect on ourselves. Who do I want to spend more time with? And like, it also, like, how do I want to how can I make my environment viable enough for me to reclaim some of my mutated genes, especially when it comes to extrasensory perception? Yeah. So And this I've observed, in when we do like in spirit questing. In spirit questing, we come in groups. Whenever we don't usually come alone to a case, we come in groups because every person has like different insights, and we confirm or debunk each other in the process of our investigations. So I've noticed, the people that coming in later, the new people, they would claim like, oh, I'm not really very psychic, but I'm just interested. I'm curious. I want to help, but a long time, in time, they kind of get the more that our group spends time together, the more that I started noticing that the new people, the new, members also start picking up, and maybe this could be an explanation. So take time to kind of, where do I went who do I want to spend time with? Yeah. And if you want to spend time with people who are more into like low vibrationary things, more bombarded with all this like digital pollution and stuff, then you would know that your chromosome 7 will mutate even more and lose more of this viability to sense more. Yeah. So why don't you spend time with people who are actually like living out, developing their psychic potential? Huh? And maybe like you can, like your chromosome, your gene would, that their genes will also be imprinted on you. Yeah. What do you think? There are also there are now there are now people commenting. I'm just saying, people of the same birds of the same feather, they flock together and eventually become the same birds. You can quote me on that. So you express yourself with people without the same vibe. If you feel like I know that I have psychic potential, it's just that, I don't know, like I don't know how to kind of get it right. Then you spend more time with people. In paint, we have a very good community of psychics and people where we kind of spend time together, learn each other, and so being in a community really, really helps in the growth and development and evolution. It's not just about the learning; it's the experiences together. So Ram is saying, does it explain why the psychic abilities of an individual intensifies when in a group of psychics? Yes. There's also like a transference that's happening, Ram. Like in the immediate, I've noticed like when somebody is very highly clairvoyant and I step into that field of this person, like I really feel also my clairvoyance gets really, really heightened with it when I'm with this person. And there are people who are like super empaths, for example, like Chiki is a super empath. When I spend time with her, I could feel more. So yeah, it's aside from this chromosome thing, in the immediate sense, there's like a transference happening. Okay. I know some people who have spent some time with the psychic, even via video conferencing, their psychic abilities have elevated. Oh, wow. Like one person would sense a spirit and that's it. And then later on, this person can now sense the gender unlike before. Okay, that's good. Yeah. And it's quite different, Ron, from people who are having hysteria, because hysteria is like kind of like is a different thing. But what you're saying is kind of, it's nice. Well, someone will open their psychic abilities. So someone will open their psychic abilities just by spending someone who is a psychic too. That explains why my classmate can see spirit in her first time in her life because she spends time with me in school. Okay, great, Marvin. Now you have influenced someone. And Bert said there are signal boosters. Yeah. So there are other ways for you to regain your original blueprint on the chromosome 7. So are you ready? I will share it to you. Please write it down, but it's very simple. And this is our Earth kind of gives a resonant frequency of 7.83 hertz. I'm saying this because you can find this resonance artificially on YouTube. Yeah. And so 7.83 hertz per second. cycles per second. And this frequency is called the Schumann resonance or Schumann frequency. This is the frequency of Earth, the atmosphere of Earth. And when you expose yourself, to that frequency, somehow, like they have also shown that, like your DNA gets repaired. There's a DNA repairing that's happening. Yeah, of course, I don't know exactly how long, but it would be good to kind of expose yourself. But the best, of course, to get this frequency is to spend time with nature, earthing, earthing, spending time with nature. That's why spending time with nature feels very good, because the resonance and the frequency of nature and the Schumann resonance itself is repairing us. Yeah, I recently gone to Antipolo for forest bathing. We now have that in the Philippines, So if you want to do that, just let me know. I have a person I can refer you to, and we're planning to do a cacao with forest bathing soon. So get ready with that. So that is one of the ways that you can, like, if you like, you could say, tell me. Sometimes some people tell, but I don't know, a psychic here and blah blah blah, I'm from very far away. Just go with nature, and then so that you can repair this lost ability to expand your awareness. Okay, so let's stop a little bit, and because reading your comments, and let's have a little break before we go into the different, like, studies about the gut, the heart, and the third eye, and intuition. So these are the 4 things that we will be discussing today, and the sciences that is backed up by this. I just want to kind of like I'm kind of like wanting, let's do some form of music to, as a little bit of break, because these are things that you need to digest. Let it digest within your being, and I will kind of look at the comments, and I think, and I'm drawn toward, like, I'm drawn to Ron's comment, like, where people have spent time with a psychic, like I think I'm drawn to that, and because of that, Ron, I will gift you a roulette, and I will gift you something, but we will I'm a little bit there. So Ron, you will entitled to a free gift, and we will run the wheel for you to know what your gift is. And let's see what your gift is. So don't worry, there is still chances later. So you win a lucky red string bracelet. So the lucky red string bracelet. So the red string in Kabbalah. Oh, I removed it. Sorry, it's okay. Is actually, we tell it that it's like an evil eye protector, the red string, and then at the end of the string is carnelian. So it's actually they call it the lucky red string. So you won that. Congratulations, Ron. And so keep commenting. Yeah, so Bert was saying the frequency that was used in the diagram I just showed a while ago was 7 hertz. Yeah, that's because it's the most probably it's the natural frequency that our Earth has, and every living being naturally has on Earth. Yeah, good. Thank you, Bert. So let's now, congratulations. I don't know if you are present. Please contact Shop Soulfully for your lucky red string. Congratulations. And I will turn off the the music. It's there you go. Let's continue on. Let's continue with our discussion. Um, then and Yeah, it's a little bit hard to find a way to, yeah, with the controls and stuff. So sorry if I it's because of there's a lot of like controlling in the in the app. Okay, so let's go to the gut feeling. Uh, so who amongst you have had a like an experience, an experience where the your gut feeling has turned out to be right? Like who has that experience, when there's what you call a gut feel that turned out to be right? So I was like, while you're like sharing your stories, I will share, a recent experience of my dad. I hope he doesn't mind that. So my dad went out of, so we live in Rosewood, and when he came out of the community, there was a car that kind of stopped and asked questions, and then there was a girl who was asking that she doesn't know how to buy stuff, and she was showing some money to my dad. And the long story short, they found themselves uh, in a grocery store trying to withdraw money. And then this girl is getting frustrated because I think she's Chinese, and that she said is getting frustrated, she cannot withdraw money. And for some reason, like, my dad is a very, very helpful person to strangers. And for those people who have met my dad, he's very connecting with people in all walks of life, right? And at that moment, he had a gut feel that something was wrong. He had a gut feel that if I don't get out of this, like, there's something bad that happens to me. And so, like, when the girl was kind of like trying to, there were two women were trying to be in between of him. He pushed one of the women, and then he and the woman didn't want him to be an to go far from him. So he has this Swiss knife, and he showed the Swiss knife, okay, don't go near me, I need to go. And he's able to escape that situation. And he came back here in Rosewood, and he told the guards about what happened to him, and that now by this time he realized it was some kind of scam. It was kind of like budol budol, if like, in for those who are not from the Philippines, budol budol is someone like you hypnotize your victim so that they can give you money, something like that. So, and then the guards were saying, "Oh, you're not the first time. There were others who were also, but they've gotten money from them, and so you're kind of lucky that you got out of this." So that's what you that qualifies like a gut feel, and I'm thankful that he has that kind of gut feeling, or else we don't know what would have happened to him that time. So that's a gut feel. So tell me also if you have these kind of situations in your life when you felt that something is not right, or is there something that's about to happen, even if you don't know exactly what it was, or you know exactly what it was, and it turned out to be right in the end. Yeah. So um, sometimes it comes up, like, for example, just in Facebook, I saw somebody selling like a shelf, a glass shelf. And for some reason, I know that we didn't need it, like, logically. But then, like, for some reason, I bought it. And like, they were all scratching their heads, like, why did I buy it? But yeah, like a month after that, we all realized why. We kind of need to like redecorate the space, and the shelf is where I'm looking at right now is exactly where it needs to be. So that is what you call like precognition, or sometimes if it's just a feeling, it's called presentiment. Yeah. So anybody who has those kinds of moments? Oh, Lynette is saying that there are, um, you're correct. Spending with people with psychic abilities, somehow they transfer their energies to those around them, plus spending time with them can develop some abilities too. And now, Lynette, it is can be already, it's already like there's an explanation to that through this water, this DNA thing. Okay, so Andrea says yes. She had this experiences. Let's see. Whenever I meet someone for the first time, I see a photo of someone. There's an immediate knowing that when the personality of the person is always get into trouble. When I get a person, the benefit of the doubt. Oh, very long, but it went. Yeah, and don't listen to this intuitive guidance. The first time my business partner offered a partnership, my heart was screaming no. I didn't listen and got burned. Since then, I follow no. Okay, that's very good that you've learned, Arnie. When it comes to people, it's very complicated because our internal signals are saying no, but because of certain childhood traumas and even past life connections, for example, is the one that makes us say yes. That's why it's a little bit complicated. And Marvin says that he has always got feelings. He was going back to his high school days, walking the sidewalk, and then I saw two teenagers going towards me, but they're still away. Even they were away from me, I felt my heart pound. I don't know what I felt when I saw them in far away, but I disregard my gut feeling. And the time when they are in front of me, one of them grabbed me and wanted to punch me. Oh wow! I just realized that they were in the influence of drugs because their eyes was that of, yeah, okay, dot. And Kim is saying years ago, a businessman friend of a friend offered collaborations with my husband's news agency. And when I first met the guy, I had the gut feel that he was kind of selling something that was not true. Basically, he was convincing people to collaborate with him for social business, that he just wanted to keep the investors' money and make it seem legit. Well, I told my husband immediately. My feeling after months, the guys was on the news for a scam. Yeah, that's very good that you've used your kind of your gut feel to help your husband's discernment on things, because yeah, it's like these scammers are very convincing. So uh, thank you for sharing him. I also had in relation to what Mervin said, also when I was in college and I was with my classmates, we're in front of, because I was in UP Manila, and in front of that, near that was the women's university. Yeah, and I forgot. I think that's Pedro Hill, and we kind of we were supposed to ride a jeepney going to Buendia. No, going to UN, because we're going to the next building, which is near UN, and we were about to ride the jeep, and then I kind of sensed something. And I told my classmates, no, that's not gonna ride. But the Jeep was full, like very not full. Like it was really like we would fit there. And my classmates kind of like, yeah, what's up with her? She doesn't. I said, no, I don't want to ride the jeepney. And then some of them, like, well, most of them said, okay, we're just not gonna ride the jeepney. And then we rode another jeepney, and we passed by that jeep. That jeep was being held up in UN. So that is also like a gut feel. There are numerous times I suddenly store a thing like an umbrella for no reason. Turns out I needed those. Yes, that's very typical. Yeah, that's very typical. We all kind of like have this nuance, like this gut feel that there's something that we need to bring, and we brought it and it played out. Yeah, and sometimes we didn't listen to that gut feel and it didn't pay out. Yeah. And also Lynette, one more, competing in a singing group contest, and that time that we are going to win even though we haven't practiced yet. Yes, we won the group, then we complete per level, and I feel sad because I know we will not win. Okay. I'm sorry about that, but it's very interesting. Um, Blessy Rod's experience as well. It's like a foreknowledge. Yeah. And Blessy saying they didn't trust my gut feel back then. And then the terrible thing happened. So now always trust and listen to the instinct. Yeah. Lesson learned the hard way. Okay. Okay, so this is what you call precognition. It's when it comes as a knowing, like with Kim. And there it also comes what you call presentiment, meaning that you feel there is something, uh, and even if you don't understand or don't know what it is pre-sentiment. These are not, just psychic moments. And this is actually something natural at work. And it might be more, it's not like really just woo woo, it's something natural. And they found it that it has something to do with the gut, the heart, and the brain system. Yeah, so the gut, the heart, and the brain, they're working together to be able for you to get some form of knowingness about what's going to happen next, or what's going to happen in the next few minutes or in the future. Um, so um, Presentiment refers to the phenomenon where the individuals either, like, there's physiological responses. So for example, I would know if there's some kind of conflict that's about to happen when there is a, let's just say, my solar plexus or my sternum constricts. I would feel like something hurtful in the back when somebody's talking behind my back and they're talking bad about me. I could feel that. And I've come to a point where I can just close my eyes, follow that energy, and I would see the vision of these people talking what they're talking about. Yeah. So I like, that is what you call a pre-sentiment, right? May have happened, or it may be happening in the moment or before that, but it is a pre-sentiment. Like, pre-sentiment is something when you have like certain physiological responses, like when your skin conducts, your heart rate, your brain activity before even experiencing the stimulus. Yeah, that's what you call the pre-sentiment. And pre-sentiment is nothing like a made-up thing. They've studied this, and they've made meta-analysis of this. So two notable studies about this is in the Princeton laboratory and also in Stanford. So in Princeton, it's called like, they have this laboratory for anomaly research, something like that. And they kind of conducted like remote uh, perception. So remote perception is a form of presentiment called precognition. Where the participants were able, like, they will give them, it's like a remote viewing. They would give participants like a certain, like, picture of a place, and they were able to describe like future events in that place, like, which suggests like certain, that they can access certain information in the future. Yeah. But of course, of this, they're just saying that there is an existence of this phenomena, but it doesn't verify it. Whereas the Stanford research on presentiment, very interesting. It's done by Dean Radin. And what he did is that, like, they would show pictures. They would get people, and every person would they'd be shown pictures. Now, the pictures would either be neutral or highly charged emotionally. So we do that for a number of times. And then what they've seen is that it came to a point where before the picture is being shown, the body already responds. So before the picture is being flashed, if it's a highly emotional charged picture, the body already kind of increase the heart rate, dilates, constricts the pupil, and all those stuff. So it's very interesting to note that our body, there must be something in, like, how does it work? Our body is already responding to a stimuli that hasn't been fed, and that's led the way to different kinds of research. And there's also like a comprehensive study of all these small researches together in 2011 and 2012, which made them decide, like, oh, the presentiment effect is something with an evidence, like this really happens. Muscle memory means, birth, that you already have been exposed to the stimulus, and so your muscle can respond to this stimulus. The stimulus isn't there yet, but you respond already. So that's the difference. Okay, so this isn't a muscle memory, but a presentiment effect. Okay, so there's another study, but this time it's not about presentiment. It's more of a study between two. It's a distant healing study. You know, you like by giving intention. So what they did is they put two people in two different places, and they put people in all this EEG, ECG to kind of like measure them. And so they will say to the other person, okay, you send an intention at this time. Of course, the other person doesn't know when the person will give an intention or not. They don't, they're blinded by it. And so they've seen and matched, every time that this person would send an intention, send an intention. And even before that happens, the markers, of the heart rate, the blood pressure and stuff already kind of shows reactivity and response, as if there is receiving information already, and it corresponds to the time or even before the time of the intent, how the intention was set. So it's very, very, very interesting, that that our body is capable of sensing more than we are aware of. Yeah. Okay. So how is now let's go to the part where how do you think like the presentiment is processed? So now in research, they have kind of studied the gut brain system, and the gut, the heart, and the brain system. But there's the gut has like a lot, 100 million neurons in the gut alone, and the gut, they say, is the second brain. And but some people say it's actually the first brain, because before the simple living organisms like the nematodes, like they're just a gut, the only organ they have is the gut, and in the gut are millions of like seemingly nerve centers. So the gut has a lot of neurons, and these neurons kind of feed information to the brain. So and this kind of, there is a certain nerve which is now of interest in the modern science as well as the new age, is called the vagus nerve. Yeah, so the vagus nerve is I think I have a picture here to kind of like give you of how it looks like. This is how the vagus nerve kind of runs from the gastric up to the heart and goes to the brain. Yeah, so that's how. And this vagus nerve, the reason why a lot of people are very interested in this is because it is one of the secrets into holistic healing. And I will not go into that because that will be a whole lot of research as well to present that. I'm just trying to look at the comments a little bit. Yeah. So what happens is that the gastrointestinal tract have these neurons, and they feed all this information to the brain. So what we can say is that the brain like has a say to the brain, and our digestive tract has a say in the brain. And it's funny, like in the Hindu tradition of the chakras, where the solar plexus is in the gut. Yeah, and the solar plexus is actually like a channel where it receives information. I teach this in the intuitive development course, and it receives information of lower emotions. Yeah, so lower emotions. So it's a little bit amazing how the ancient yogic traditions already know that this is the seat where people feel emotions. I mean, get information of emotions, and at the same time, there's like a million neurons in our gut just to sense that. So what I can say is the gut plays a big role in clearing sentience, in feeling, and at the same time into presentiment. But it doesn't necessarily mean this is the one that's getting information from the outside. I could say that because we have a million neurons inside our gut, that our gut is actually monitoring our internal state. So it's very aware of our internal state. So for example, if you're nervous, you feel the butterflies in your stomach, isn't it? That when you are stressed, you feel the constriction. You can't even eat, or sometimes suddenly your bowel movements change. Like we have, like, so that's how intricate, that's how our gut tells us of what we're feeling at the moment and how we as individuals are feeling and reacting to our environment. So it's an internal alarm. Yeah. And the vagus nerve sends, from the gut, the vagus nerves 80 to 90% of information to the brain through the vagus nerve. Like 80 to 90% of the time, the vagus nerve is giving information to the brain from the gut. Yeah. So, which means that when you have a very healthy vagus nerve, and again, there are in time now, what's happening is because we are so stressed and we're so anxious, this nerve pathway is also kind of like diminished in terms of its integrity, as being healthy, and it's in terms of its, being strong and healthy, its tone. So when you have a heightened vagal tone, meaning it's kind of active, it's healthy, then it shows a correlation with introspective, meaning sensitivity or awareness of the inner state, a healthy reading, accurate reading of others, and also being a certain form of alertness that is calm, or an intuitive, we call that intuitive awareness. When your awareness is calm, you're not like, like when you just drank coffee, like you're kind of like very alert, but it's not calm. Okay. And how the gut communicates to the brain is through the neurotransmitters. And I will explain that later when we go to the third eye. So, but this is not the organ that really senses. So the gut is like, let's just say the gut is a processor. It feeds information of the internal state in reaction to the outside state. But this is not the organ, that the sensory organ that really receives information from the external state. And what is this organ that receives? It's, if you know, what the heart is as a sixth sense. Yeah, that's why it's called the sixth sense, because it is a sensory organ. That's why the vagus nerve runs across that, right? The gut, the heart, the brain. But it's the heart that is actually collecting data from the outside. The gut is collecting data from the inside, and all of them are fed to the brain. Okay, let's talk about heart intuition and how the heart is an actual sensory organ. So if the gut contains 100 million neurons, our heart contains 40,000 neurons. And it has its own cardiovascular system, which means that's why you can do heart transplant, because if you cut the heart from the brain, it still will kind of beat. Yeah, if you cut it will beat, and you can transfer it and in time for heart transplant. It has its own neural system as well. So it's very independent to the brain. And it sends more signals to the brain than it receives from the brain. Yeah, especially when it comes to emotion, or intuition, for example. Now let's go to the science, this is actually not new, in the sense that it's been there for a very long time. If there is for the Psychism, there's the IONS, or the Institute of Noetic Sciences. In the heart, there is called the heart math, which they started in the 70s, different scientists, and what they did was they kind of like put all the brain activity into figuring out what the heart is and what it has, um, outside of its physiology. So what they found that is our heart can actually create an electromagnetic field, like it has its own powerhouse. And this powerhouse is the most powerful, strongest, and coherent in everything in our body. So if you'd like to kind of see how it looks like, let me just, the pineal gland, we're talking about the heart. Okay, so this is what you call, let me look. Do I have it? Yeah, I have it. That. This is the electromagnetic field of the heart. It's called a torus field. And our earth has our own torus field. An apple has its own torus field. Like everything in nature has its own torus field. It's the electromagnetic field that runs around around the physical body. Yeah, and it is measured. They're able to measure this, and the measure that it is 60 times stronger than the brain. So if you imagine, like, the brain is like divided by 60, that's how the strength of the field of the brain is. Yeah, and it reaches 100 times wider than the brain as well. So you can detect it several feet away. Although they found, like, in the average man, it's usually 3 meters around. So this is 5,000 stronger in terms of magnetic field strength, and it can be measured by a magnetocardiogram, and the source of this this field is from the beating of your heart and the blood flow. So that's the electric and magnetic energy created just by our heart. Yeah, amazing. And if you imagine this, it's kind of running around through the heart. It's two-way, one going above, and then the other one going like from above to below. So that's how it's simultaneously above and below at the same time. So if you see the electromagnetic frequency of the heart and its coverage, it's able through this electromagnetic field. What it does, it's able to sense and get information from the environment back to your heart. Yeah. And they actually have a study of this. And this is one of the things that I really love to share. They have a lot of this study. And in the Heart Math Institute, they have studied that the heart can actually detect and react before the brain or the body does. And that's what you call presentiment, as we were talking earlier. Now, what this field of information, 3 to 4 meters around you, the torus field, they have a study where they put people together within 3 meters range, yeah, and they studied their torus field of each other, and they have seen that somehow the torus field, when you're like just sitting and not doing anything, that your torus field affects the other, and the other person's torus field affects you. Now it's a matter of which torus field is stronger. So if you have which means, like when you ride the public utility vehicles, the person beside you, you're already affecting their torus field, and their torus field is affecting you. Imagine when you are in an office and you are sitting in your cubicle, the person beside you and in front of you and the back of you in a matter of 3 to 4 meters, you have an influence over them, or they have an influence over you in terms of your torus field. That you can get information from them even by not talking. So that is the basis of presentiment and how the heart is able to get information. Yeah, and this is very, very measurable. So imagine like I'm living in a condominium right now. And of course, above me and beside me, may like for some condominiums, it's small. Luckily, this is a little bit bigger. But imagine that it's like you're in a cramped condominium and you have a person that is depressed on the other side of the wall. Most probably, if their energy is more charged, it's stronger, then you get affected as well. Yeah, so the heart is the bridge, to this kind of like intuition. But as a sensory, I'm talking about it as a sensory organ. There's one other thing that the heart can do, and I will discuss that later when we reach to the brain waves. Yeah. So uh, to put this all together, and it's kind of amazing, isn't it? Like the heart senses the external environment through this heart field, the torus field. Yeah. And your gut senses your internal environment, and through they kind of go and relay all of this to the brain through the vagus nerve. It feeds information, you know to the brain. And sometimes the heart also feeds information to the gut, to just tell it like, oh, there's something coming. And that's why even before you realize that something is coming, like your gut already constricts somehow. So then when the brain processes this all of this information, it sends feedback to all the other organs and parts of the body, that so that it can respond to this information. And all of this is all unconscious. You are not even the slightest aware of it until you put your awareness in it, until you have developed a sense where you are sensitive to yourself. And for me, um like I've delved into this heart intuition for a very long time, in the sense that I've tried to put it into action. That's why I do cacao, I do all this heart intuitive coaching. And it has kind of brought me to a state where you can actually be uh, aware not only of your internal processing. Like, for example, because recently some of you know that I've been dealing with grief. And the heart has a lot, makes processing grief faster. And at the same time, like, it gives you a lot of information about what's about to happen. And so the heart is actually the bridge to intuition. Yeah. So that's how it's amazing how science can now explain this, and we're all just like putting this together in so that we can understand what's already we're doing unconsciously. Yeah. So let's have a little bit of a break and to see the comments that's happening here. Um okay like I'm just gonna backtrack. uh in exams, usually the first answer you pick from multiple choice is actually usually the right answer, huh? Yeah, I mean, in Manila Science, um, they thought I was smart and intelligent, but because most of the like long tests there, periodical tests there, are multiple choice, I can say that I'm a good guesser. I have also one anecdotal story about this, about how I was able to, based on gut feel, kind of won 30,000 pesos in a company game of Pera and Bayong. So for those who are not in the Philippines, Pera and Bayong is a game where there are people standing with raising the question A, B, C, D, and you have to, when the person, the MC will ask a question, if you have to line up with the correct letter, with the correct answer in the correct letter. And so when you're lined up there, those with the incorrect answer, they sent away. So until it's only you and the other person that's remaining. So it was a company Christmas party of a pharmaceutical corporation, and like I never saw Star Wars ever, but for some reason that was the theme of the game, to know like the questions were about Star Wars. I never saw Star Wars even until now. I haven't seen them. And so I was just kind of like joined in for fun, and so there were like four people, A, B, C, D, and we were just kind of like gut feel. I go here until there were only two people remaining. It was me and a guy. And imagine, I've never seen Star Wars in my entire life. And and the final question, and I could remember it exactly, was the final question was who was the singer that was involved, that was casted in the film of the Star Wars. And I thought, like, I was used into like looking into like teenager, when I was young, I was looking at the teenager magazines, and there was this name Prince and Star Wars that were kind of connected with each other. And so I ran to, and they said in one of the choices that of the name Prince. So I ran towards there, but apparently the guy also knew that, and so he bumped me. And well, that's part of the game, and he was there. So kind of like, okay, like maybe he won. I wasn't strong enough or fast enough. I was bumped. And then, but the MC said, like, just choose the letter, just choose the letter so that we can go on with the game. So I chose a letter, like, even if my heart was really heavy. And voila, I chose the correct answer. I was the one who won that the 30,000 peso prize. So that, I was like amazed at myself, like, oh my God, my body knows. Even if I wasn't, even if my body wasn't really, even if I didn't know the answer. So that's an anecdote there, just to, and then there's Ash Blue, who said that mahina ako sa ganyan, may gut feel ako na scam, pero nagtitiwala ako sa tao. So with that, Ash Blue, it could be that there is something in you that is overriding your gut feel. Yeah, because the mind, when we are in our analytical mind, and also in our gut, there is some form of need for something more. We override our gut feel or our heart wisdom. Okay, so Jenny is sharing. This happened back in 2010 while I was working late. I suddenly had a strong feeling that I should go up and check on a colleague nearby. I followed that instinct, stood up, and chatted with her for a few minutes. When I returned to my desk, I was shocked to see that the front panel of the air conditioner, mounted directly above my table, had fallen right where I had been sitting. Oh, wow. If I had ignored that gut feel, I would have been seriously injured. Yeah. I've seen that also in some reels in Facebook and in YouTube, where people were kind of like, sometimes the universe gives us a little nudge. And when we follow that, they're actually saving us from a horrible, horrible experience. So very good. Jenny, thank you for that, for sharing that. Is it same as foreseeing? So foreseeing, Lynette, and that's where we're going towards the signs of the third eye, is that is the foreseeing. This is precognition, which is pre-knowing, pre-knowing, and also pre-sentiment, pre-feeling. Yeah. But of course, intuition is also, this is more of like, Lynette, something like internally, there, it's not about like I've seen the future. So that's kind of different, and we will go to that in a bit. I usually have this during impressions with people I meet, and I could sense that kind of personality they have either makes me like them or dislike them. Although at first I disregard it to give it a chance to be able to get to know them, but in the end, the personalities show. And that's very, Maribel, thank you for sharing that. There is a little bit of element aside from, oh, my ears are ringing. Somebody's sending me something. Okay, there is actually, and more than that, more than the pre-sentiment part, we are also, I don't know if you subscribe to soul contracts and soulmates and stuff like that, past lives, for example. So sometimes we also have this sense based on how we knew them and how we're connected in the past lives. So sometimes this information transcends this lifetime. Yeah. And that is also a very kind of interesting to look at. So Lynette, like gut feel and foreseeing, as I said, it are two different things. Yeah, two different things. I have an opposite story. One time in college, I was attending this event, but while I was there, a sudden strong feeling that told me that I needed to get out of there and go home. I ignored that feeling because I really wanted to attend the event. In the end, the event got canceled because of an unexpected storm and I got soaked. This made me believe that intuition is real, and I have been learning to listen to it better since. Now, when I hear a voice that tells me to do something, I follow. Yeah, the most often, what happens to us is we override our gut feel. We override, just maybe because, well, most often in social situation we override our gut feel because we want to be approved. We don't want to displease people. We don't want people to get angry at us. Those things mostly. And sometimes, like, we kind of put our will into it, like, um and then so that overrides our analytical mind, kind of like, and also our attachments and egos to things, kind of like override things. Yeah. So, like, for example, Janelle, like, there was this event that I wanted to, like, happen. Well, I will talk about clearly that there's the retreats, the plant medicine retreats. I wanted it to continue, even if, like, my mother just died, my cousin just died. I know my mother would just died, and I wanted to pursue it. My mind wanted to, like, I can still can. But my body and everything else within me is saying no. And this is how it goes, the understanding of why things have to happen the way they happen comes in later. So when this rising of COVID, this monkeypox thing, and the death of my cousin after the death of my mother, like, all coincided somehow during the retreat period. And so I was happy because I made the decision. Like, I was holding on, like, going back and forth over this decision over and over again. And when I followed my intuition, even if I didn't understood why I shouldn't, like, I would just say, oh, I will honor my grief. Maybe I need to grieve more. But actually realizing, like, if we, like, I let somebody come here and experience all of these things that are happening, I wouldn't be able to manage it because somebody else died, and then there's, like, this monkeypox happening and stuff like that. And it kind of dawned on me, like, now I understand why this needs to be postponed. So sometimes we have to listen and not override our gut feel. Okay. Yeah, let's look into. And is this also correlated to the knowing when someone is going to show up, or when you know someone is going to call you? Yeah, yes, Kimberly, exactly. Yeah, so there is a study. I want to add, there is a study where with where they found out in the study, when they were sequencing the genes, that a mother, for example, the DNA goes into the baby's DNA when it was still inside the mother's womb, and the baby's DNA, they also go to the mother's body. So the mother's DNA, and the mother's DNA imprints the baby, and the baby imprints the mother. So even if they were separate, that's the reason where there's the mother's intuition, is very, very, it's very strong. Mother's intuition very strong, because the DNA of the baby is within you. So you, even with twins, you would know what's happening, especially when you're very connected with this person. So that's one study that is kind of related to presentiment as well, because of the connection and the sharing of the DNA. And yeah, it's also correlated when someone is going to show up, or like you already, like you're for some reason, because of our energetic heart field, is able to detect that and give that information to our brain. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. is our electric magnetic field the same as the etheric body? Yeah, no, there are two different things, although they're very close. The electromagnetic field is the energy. It's a like some form of a more mechanical electrical energy that is really connected with the heart, and its resonance is more on the emotions. So you can say that the electromagnetic field is more related to the aura or the astral body rather than the etheric body. The etheric body is the biomagnetic electric field of our whole body. Like that's the etheric body. It's like it's something that follows the form of the body, and it's more of the whole body. This is a different field that is just generated by the movement, the pumping and the circulation of the blood and the pumping of the heart. So they're two different fields. Yeah. So does iron in our blood also play a role in the torus field? The iron in our blood, they haven't had a study, but I believe yes, there might be something in our the iron in our blood can also play a role, just like our brain has magnetites to ground us, you know. And our third eye, you will learn later, we have also crystals in our third eye. I'm sure that the iron in our blood also plays a very big role in like generating this electromagnetic field, but there's no study yet about that. Advanced Karam, maybe you can study it. The heart intuition, yes, it is very much connected to emotional intelligence, because when you have a very healthy heart, like very coherent heart intuition, like coherent heart, gut, and brain coherence. We call this coherence. When it's unified, it gives you a sense of being able to be aware so much of what's happening to you in your emotions, and also be aware of other, you can read other people's emotions really well. Yeah. I bet, Mom Ow, you can feel the hidden intention of a person too. Yeah. Mervin, I don't really kind of like, I'm not open. I'm close, deliberately close myself when I'm kind of engaging in the world. So I only really open fully when I'm in my sessions. But when I'm in the world, like I only like I instruct I regulate my senses to kind of only act when it's necessary, like when there's a threat, or I really need this to know, or something like that. But most of the time I'm like as clueless as anybody else, because it's not fun to be knowing somebody all the time. But I do have a sense, when there are hidden intentions. I can smell them. Literally, I can smell an intention, an agenda, even before it happens. But it doesn't make me say that I will not connect with this person, or relate with this person, just because I sense these negative things. Like I could for me, it's better as an intuitive to see, like, there's always a positive side and the negative side. Yeah. The thing is, what shows to us in my spiritual practice, what I reflect back is what will show. Which means if I am exhibiting these negative agendas within me, it will kind of materialize in my in and this person is just the it will materialize in my reality, maybe through this person or maybe through another person. But yeah, that is but most of the time I kind of like, yeah, let's give it a chance. People can change. So noted, said Lynette. Okay, I've done that with an exam done when I was no sure, I just chose the answer without thinking. It's like first thing coming in your mind with no thinking. Exactly, Andrea. That's very good. Or when a person tells something and asking a question or a namer, I just answer, not thinking, like the answer is coming out from my mouth before I think. Yeah, that, Andrea, is like a mediumship kind of like like it's like a mediumship. When you channel or you become a medium, like you kind of channel information from something that is outside of you. Yeah. And just out of curiosity, since octopus has 3 hearts, does it make the force field of an octopus stronger? Yeah, very like Ram, your questions are very very interesting. Octopus. I don't know about that. I'm not afraid to say that I don't know. I have never experienced an octopus alive. So to feel or understand what they have. But maybe you can get an octopus and experiment, Ram. Um, Bird is saying mas malakas talaga ang intuition ng mga babae kaysa sa mga lalaki. Why is that? I don't think I don't it is well physiologically there's it shouldn't be like because of the mother's intuition and stuff. We have denoted that women might have a stronger intuition, but actually no, that man can has that capability. It's just that men usually, because being a provider, being a always in the mundane world, has a big barrier in their analytical mind as compared to women who kind of like are, because of their emotions, are somehow in society expected and tolerated to have a irrational mind. That's the difference. But we have both the potentiality between man and woman. I feel that both of us have the same. It's just that the man have more blocks with this in receiving it. Etheric body, so I hope that makes sense. Etheric body is like the usbong, for my understanding, and electromagnetic field is the aura. No. I don't know what usbong is, Kimberly, but the etheric body is the one that is emitted by the energy emitted by our body, the wholeness of our body. It is the field of energy closest to our physical body, is very connected to our physical body. Anything that is like anomaly in our physical body shows in the etheric body. Yeah. The electromagnetic field is the measurable field. That's the difference. The electromagnetic field is measurable. The etheric body is not measurable. Okay, so it's a little bit hard because they're all interspersed. Yeah. Okay. Maria Bell. Oh, I had this experience whenever there's someone comes up to mind suddenly, and it comes to me frequently. I reach out to them because usually something negative happening to them or just needs help. In an instant, a relative of mine got sick, or my friend was in the hospital during the duration when they suddenly came to my mind. It comes to me frequently. Reach out to them because there's something usually happening to them. Yeah, that is also, yeah, that is presentiment. Like I had a reading once where the person believed that they might be cursed because every time they spend time with the person, something bad happens to them after. And so they were asking me in an Akashic reading session, am I cursed? Why is this things happening after I spend time with them? And the answer to that is actually it's the other way around. Like you unconsciously know something's gonna happen to them, and so that's the reason why you're reaching out to them to spend time to them as a form of support before things kind of happen to them. So that is actually a form of presentiment. And sometimes we kind of like believe, because we look at it in a linear time. We believe like, oh, I must be cursed, or I might be bringing bad luck. But sometimes it's the other way around. Salamat will deep dive into a topic and difference. It's going to be a good research. Yeah, go and and research, and that will be a very good use of time that we can contribute. We can learn from it as well. I always understand the feelings of animals. I just say they were connected to me. That's how I communicated them with feelings. Yeah. Mervin, the animals, the highest developed part of their brain is the limbic system, which is the emotional system. So That's how animals can really connect with people. And so, which means, Mervin, that maybe your limbic system is also attuned and developed like so much that it can connect with the animals. Yeah, that's very good. So now we're going. Thank you for all the comments. They're all interesting, and I think there are two people that kind of caught my really nice like eye and my heart, and that is Kimberly. Kimberly, thank you for that. And I will give you. Let me just uh, and also Janelle, Kimberly and Janelle. Okay, so I will go into the again technical thing. I will add now to the stage. There you go. And to give first to Kimberly. Thank you for commenting and contributing to the discussion. And let's see uh, what you. Okay, so rape or happy ceremony. But when you come here, when you come here, because this can only be done in person. So rape is one of the is called the sacred snuff. It's from the Amazon, and it's something that is mostly composed of tobacco and some other herbs, and it also helps you clear your mind, and for me helps me go into some higher states of consciousness. And I will talk about the contribution of rape to our consciousness as well, because we have been talking about the tools. So congratulations. And now we go for Janelle. Janelle, will continue commenting because I have a special prize. Later we'll have an activity. Psychic defense with Crystal. Psychic defense. Congratulations. Yay. This is with Stargazer. You can join this like online or in person. So this is during the Crystal Fest in August 15. This is in August 15. So you now have a free pass for this session. You can either go in person and meet Stargazer, or here in Shop Soulfully, or you can join online. Congratulations, Janelle. Yeah, hey, thank you so much. We will now continue. Oh my God, yes. Oh, 17th of June. Okay, Kimberly, just swing by the center and I can give you like rape and introduce you to rape. Okay. And Janelle said, thank you. I've been planning to attend po. Okay, that's very good. And now let's go to the third eye. So we've just a rehash of what we've talked about. We've talked about the senses, the extrasensory perception, the gut feeling, and how the heart, the gut, and the brain are kind of like working together, and how science is able to kind of explain how this happens, how you can have this gut feeling. Now let's go to the third eye, which is the science of the third eye. So our eyes kind of receive approximately only like a 10 million bits per second, of visual information about environment. It's not only, it's a lot. It's 10 million bits. Yeah. And this includes light, intensity, motion, depth, shape. Yeah. But do you know how much our conscious brain can only process? Out of the 10 million, we only process 40 to 50 bits, not even a million, just 40 to 50 bits per second. Yeah. So which means there's like 9,950,000 bits per second that is unprocessed of all the things that our lenses can get from our environment. Yeah. And this includes the 40 to 50 bits includes, when we're actively focusing on something. Yeah, and to spot like the details of when we put our attention, what's in your spotlight. Yeah. So for example, when you're tuned in into your into your gadget, for example, like majority of the 40 to 50 bits of per second the is kind of like devoted there, and then everything else that goes around you, you're not aware, your brain cannot process. You're receiving that information, but your brain, you cannot be aware because your brain can only process a fraction of it. Yeah. So um, everything else that your brain processes, that is not into your awareness, somehow it gets into, you know it's archived unconsciously. Yeah. and this is archived like 11 million bits per second across all senses. So our brain, so this is only our eyes can get 10 million bits per second, but our brain can process 11, like can get information, is in receiving 11 million bits per second information from all across our senses. So imagine how overwhelmed our senses are now, because there's just a lot of things happening. So most of the things that we see are either filtered, they're prioritized, or they're discarded before it reaches to our awareness. Yeah. And that's the reason why, you know and this filtering and this discarding happens when we sleep. So when there are certain information that is being discarded, that kind of like is important to our well-being, what happens? It goes out in our dreams. So majority of our dreams are actually kind of messages from within us, telling us that there are information out there. This is not this is we not put this in your awareness. We're putting it now because you didn't have time when you were awake. We put this now because before we discard it. Yeah. So that's what comes up in dreams. I'm not saying that all the dreams are made of that. Yeah. So that's how it is, and therefore we can say that our visual sight is not only limited, but also our brain processing is also limited. But it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't have, it is a way, like it is that is getting information. And this is where we get suddenly, like, that there are certain visions. But when we do meditate, or we spend time like relaxation time, and then all these visions come, for example, then it's because these are usually information that are unprocessed during the day. The third eye is actually a small cone shaped organ inside our brain. I don't think I have a picture of you can Google that. That's the pineal gland. That's the correspondence of the third eye. And actually, in nature, some reptilians and amphibians have this third eye exposed in the middle of their heads, and it's called the parietal eye. And they have a lot of similarity with our pineal gland because they're both photosensitive, which means they're sensitive to light. Yeah. And this pineal gland in our system is an endocrine gland, which means that it's kind of like sending, like it receives information and also at the same time sends information to our body, yeah, through the hormones or neurotransmitters. Yeah. So this is the reason why before, a long time ago, people didn't know what the pineal gland was for. And then suddenly they found out what it was for. It's actually connected to the third eye. But now I will bring the new science of what scientists have found out, that there are crystals inside your pineal gland. So the pineal gland is very small inside. In the middle, it's usually more on the back of the head, aligning to your back of your throat. It's there. Yeah. And that pineal gland, inside of that, it has like cells like the retinas. So it responds to whatever light is given to our retinas, and it kind of like it's reflected back there. It also receives that information, and then what is shown, what they found out, is there are crystals inside of that, and the crystals are is actually calcite crystals. Calcite is composed of calcium, carbon, and oxygen. I think I have calcite here somewhere. Do I have calcite here somewhere? So the calcite is a crystal. So there are many nanocrystal calcite crystals inside your third eye, and they vibrate when they kind of like uh, get activated. And the activation is through light, through energy. So for all crystal enthusiasts out there, we know that crystals have this special abilities to amplify energy, to convert energy, right? And these crystals inside your pineal gland have the same properties. Yeah, what does it mean? You know, it means that the pineal gland is a transducer, and transducer is the one that can kind of, let's just say, converts energy from one form to another. Yeah. So crystals, because we have a lot of crystals. This is how they work. If you are born in the 80s, you might have been aware of the quartz watches of our grandfathers, our fathers. If you're born in that time, have you ever seen a quartz watch? It's a battery less, doesn't have a battery. It only has a quartz. It only has a quartz, and that quartz is given, a little bit of stress, and that stress creates electricity that kind of runs the clock and makes the watch, pulse. So that's what and it cannot be, it's incombustible, meaning it will go on forever until you stop it. So that's what you call a piezoelectric property. So it's the same way when you put some kind of stress, not really a mechanical stress. No, I'm not saying to stress your pineal gland, but you put a little bit of mechanical stress on your pineal gland, it vibrates, and it produces an electrical charge. Yeah. And this electrical charge, what it happens is kind of create this electromagnetic field. So the pineal gland has its own electromagnetic field. When it is coherent with your heart field, yeah, it starts opening up, your ability to perceive, because it converts in like frequencies, or in converts energy to images, just like how our TV, like you put TV, the television, you put some kind of frequency and wave, and there's a transducer there and converts it to images. Yeah, have you ever wondered how the TV works? Like there's just plug it in, put a cable, and then how are the pictures being able to project in the TV? It's because it's the same thing, that our pineal gland converts the signals to vision, and that's how we're able to see. Okay. I hope that was, I'm trying to because it's a little bit heavy for some to digest. So that's what they found. Because of these crystals, it kind of explains a lot, like how most probably we can see through our pineal gland. Yeah. And more than that, this our pineal gland also produces certain kinds of chemicals that makes all the other mechanisms in our body active or not active. Yeah. So The problem in accessing our psychic senses or receiving, as I mentioned earlier, we always override things because of our analytical mind. In all of the psychics, that's always the problem. When your mind is full of chatter, for example, it's hard to receive information because you don't know if the chatter is yours or the chatter is really the chatter. I mean, it's really a psychic impression. Yeah. So the when there is light, when our eyes are open and we get light, we produce like um, some kind of neurochemical, that makes us awake and alive. But the time when it gets dark or when we close our eyes, suddenly, and that chemical is serotonin. And when we close our eyes, this serotonin, instead of serotonin, what is produced is melatonin. For some of you, you might have heard what melatonin is, as because it's a supplement that people take, especially for those people who have difficulty sleeping. Yeah. So melatonin kind of like increases in your third eye when it gets activated. The pineal gland gets activated. And what it does is kind of tells your body to shut down, all the other organs to shut down, because like you need to sleep. You need to go to do the rest and to rest because you sleep. And it activates as well your vagus nerve, because your vagus nerve and parasympathetic system of your nervous system kind of acts up, like putting you to some form of relaxation, all those things. So it's just saying like, okay, there's no more threat. You can sleep now. That's melatonin. Okay. So, but for example, you that's when you just wake, you kind of like uh open your eyes or close your eyes night and day. But when you activate your third eye by increasing light, for example, by doing certain there's yogic traditions that actually activate the third eye. It's called the bandhas. When you breathe and you kind of contract the muscles, it activates the crystals in the pineal gland. And what it does is she makes the melatonin, instead of it secretes melatonin, but then upgrades the melatonin to something else, um, to a higher state, asking, your analytical mind and all of the amygdala to shut down and to go in preparation for you to go to a higher state. Yeah. To a higher wave of frequency. So what does this mean? It means that your pineal gland is like the clutch. So for those who have been driving, manual, like when you go ahead, there's like a clutch for the first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. Our pineal gland is like that. Our pineal gland is the one that like kind of puts us into different states of wavelength. It's like a clutch, like it gives you the first gear. The first gear is the beta state. The beta state is when you're very active, right? And then you go to sleeping state, melatonin comes up, that's the alpha state. Yeah. So it's a clutch. And then when, for example, you get really relaxed and you kind of go to a certain state, then there is the theta state, the state where there's creativity. First it's the delta state and then the theta state. Creativity, intuition, dreaming, that's the theta state. And then you shift more upper, then there's the delta wave, that's deep sleep, and you're now a little bit unconscious. And there's even a higher state called gamma state. Yeah, so the gamma state is more of like high level of information processing. Okay, so your pineal gland not only acts, to receive information, but also kind of drives you to increase the reach of information from beta, which is the active state, to the highest state, which is gamma. Does that make sense? So if you have questions about that, so these are these states of wakefulness, these states of consciousness. Now the pineal gland is the third eye is very important to kind of reach that level of consciousness. And what it does is once you kind of like reach these different states of consciousness, and this is how, by the way, the shamans work. That's the reason why they can see spirits, shamans can heal, shamans can see whatever. It's because they go into these different states and they've trained themselves or have this natural ability to go into these different states. There are tools like they do drumming, they do plant medicine, they go into this altered state of consciousness where they can see that they can heal you in a different state of consciousness, in a higher level of state. So the third eye is very, very important. As I said, it's a gear that will make you get more information, open yourself up to the highway of information. Yeah. And now I will give you certain kind of experiments about this, which is very interesting. But before that, let me see what's in the comment. Okay. Before I go to the explorations, the scientific exploration of the psychic phenomena of the third eye, that why when you dream they give you messages or of your psychological state, or sometimes a form of prophecy at the same time while you meditate, because we don't really have the means to understand it when awake. What's the basis of this? That's the reason why sometimes we dream, and there are certain dreams that can be a reflection of an inner state. Sometimes it can be like prophetic dreams, and it's basically not only because of we are might be aware of certain things that we haven't processed. We have gotten information that we haven't been aware of process, but also, of course, there are certain energies at work as well that make us be aware of certain things. So, like for example, if you know how to discern your dream, sometimes when I've been writing. I've been journaling my dreams since 9 years old because I'm really like I dream a lot. Like I dream 4 dreams in a night, for example, and when I wake up, I could remember everything because I've trained myself that the minute I wake up, I have to remember everything that happened, and then like it puts you in a certain it's a trial and error thing as well to understand which dreams are health dreams, and there's a certain sense if this is a health dream, a prophetic dream, and so once you develop this dream weaving, dream journaling, dream walking path, then it will give you a lot of information that you haven't been aware of. Can you open eye with meditation and breathing exercises? Yes, you can activate, not open the eye. All our eyes are open. All our eyes are open. Some of them are blocked, but what you can do is activate it, yeah, by meditation and breathing exercises. The breathing exercises that I found that can really open the third eye are the bandhas of the yogic tradition. The bandha, yeah, that can help open your third eye. The meditation, yeah, like I also teach some form of practices in the intuitive development course, especially those in the advanced ones. We teach how to activate the third eye. Yes, we only Bird is saying, yeah, is that thank you for calculating that, but we only see consciously 1%, 0.01% of reality. In order to give that positive stress is constant meditation, grounding, staying in nature, a method to keep the positive stress. Yeah, we will go into this later, Kimberly, how we can put the mechanical stress on the how, let's just say, activate our pineal gland. I felt my brain, oops, what happened? I felt my brain, third eye opened with shaman and plant medicine, connected me with the drum and everybody, and felt like time and space does not exist. Exactly. These, like the plant medicines, because so once that the melatonin gets like activated, it goes into a series of process, and in the end, what it produces is the highest and the most powerful um, psychoactive, natural psychoactive in our system, which is the DMT, or dimethyl. I forgot the T, whatever. I forgot about that, but it's DMT, and DMT is actually found everywhere. Yeah. And when you do plant medicine, especially when you go to the Amazon for ayahuasca and San Pedro, these are um, like they have a lot, they flood your DMT, they flood your system with DMT. And because you have a lot of precursor to that, so it all kind of like upgrades your melatonin and puts you in that state of consciousness. Yeah. So also there are other things, there is also like the production of nitric oxide, and the production of nitric oxide also gives you this precursor to DMT. And nitric oxide, um, I think this is recent, like a recent study where sound medicine can apply, like the shamanic drums, the rattle, the humming, and the chanting actually kind of produces this nitric oxide to kind of make your like certain melatonin, your melatonin to a higher level, to an upgraded version. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Lynette. Dimethyltryptamine. See? Yeah. Okay. So which of the gemstones or crystals have greater effect on activating your third eye? No, Nuumite is for protection. It's not for activating third eye. Mystic Merlinite, for me, Mystic Merlinite and Labradorite are good activators of third eye. Moonstone as well. So when what you will learn in the Crystal Fest, for example, there's a workshop there called Crystal Essentials, where I also teach there that when you look at the crystals, you follow the waves, and the frequency of crystals is kind of corresponding to the color. It's the same with the aura. The aura colors is a marker of this is the frequency of that energy. Yeah, so it's the same. And since the frequency wavelength of our third eye, even if it has calcite crystals in them, is actually indigo. That's a wavelength. So all the indigo crystals are actually very good to kind of activate the third eye. That's why I think for me, Mystic Merlinite and Labradorite are the best. Amethyst activates the higher, but it can also. Clear quartz also for clarity. Yeah. So let's go to this scientific exploration. There is a scientist, and his name is Maxwell K. He's British, and he's a biophysicist, and he's also a Zen master. Yeah. So what he did in 1976, he developed the mind mirror. I think I have a picture somewhere here. Let me show what the mind mirror is. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Yeah. It looks like this. That's like a mind mirror where they kind of study brainwave patterns. So for Maxwell Cade, what he did was he studied the brainwave patterns of advanced meditators, healers, and individuals claiming to have psychic abilities. Okay, so that's how a mind. Let me just. I cannot see it so well. Let me just. There you go. So in this mind mirror, this is a brainwave. If you look, there's gamma, which is the red, the beta, which is the yellow, the alpha, which is green, the theta is blue, and the delta is the one at the there. And so this is like a person that is sleeping because it has like an enlarged alpha state. Yeah, this is a mind mirror of someone who's sleeping. Yeah, or very relaxed, or meditative. So actually, this is a meditator's mind mirror. Yeah, and what they shown and what they found out. I think I have another picture. Let me see. This is the mind mirror of healers. And if you see, the mind mirror of healers have a bigger theta and delta, wave. Yeah. And they have, a little bit bigger beta because they have to be conscious and aware that they're healing. But at the same time, like the delta and the theta are a little bit elongated. Yeah. So that's their experiment. And so what they've seen, the points is that the theta and alpha waves are always dominant when there are psychic experiences in particular, which also link to dream states, unconscious states, and often into like non-ordinary or intuitive perception. Yeah. So they have termed this, this kind of state when they studied the healers, psychic, and spiritual practitioners, and they have exhibited consistent and unusual pattern than the average person, but very consistent. They called it the awakened mind. So the awakened mind is when all the delta, the theta, the alpha are all simultaneously present, but there is more a higher delta and theta state. So that is what you call the awakened mind. And these observations, kind of led to the hypothesis that coherence across brain waves may be give the way to non-local access to consciousness or to psychic phenomena, in short. So this awakened mind, they actually use this, to apply to modern day and age. This awakened mind, like what they do is they created like a program where they could train, you can train yourself to have brain waves of an awakened mind, because it has a lot of benefits in terms of your creative flow, in terms of insight, in terms of spiritual connection, and like in terms of high performances. So this is actually already happening now. Like they have this kind of brain, like they train the brainwave for you to be the best, and they use it for athletes, they use it for CEOs. So that's one of the things that coming from like exploring the subconscious or the unconscious or the psychic phenomena is now benefiting like humankind, like because you can access it. So there is another, like this prodigy, her name is Anna Weiss. He's prodigy of Maxwell Kate. She took it a little bit further. So she kind of added a neurofeedback kind of research. So she developed this protocol, how to do this awakened mind. And like she's now kind of researching on high performers, and then now merging towards transcendent state. So the transcendent state is when you are in the gamma. Yeah, that's when you are having a full sensory experience without using your senses. That's the gamma state. And this is the state that when you use psychedelics or you use plant medicine, like you get to that state. That's the gamma. And so what is the importance of these states, and all of them gets tied up to the pineal gland. Yeah. And what's important in that, what it does is like, because these states of consciousness, and remember Albert Einstein, I don't know if it's Albert Einstein's, there's a quote that he said that you cannot solve a problem using the same level of perception, something like that, with with the same mind that may led you something like that, like led you to that problem. Yeah. So you have to kind of raise your consciousness to something higher in order for you to solve a certain problem. Yeah. So it's the same thing. Like you need to kind of increase your states of consciousness. When you talk about these waves, it means that you are able to become like a from a small radio, two-way talkie radio, to a big television antenna that broadcasts. So the thing with this is that you receive information, and as well you can um, imprint information. So this is what happens in the studies. There are people who study, I think Joe Dispenza is studying this, about when they're studying transcendental states, the states where like they're able to open their third eye so much and go into gamma state, And what happens is you go into the state of heart openness. So your heart is key to open your pineal gland, and your pineal gland opens the heart even more. And the feeling they describe there is gratitude. When you are in the feeling of openness, in the form of gratitude, like you open yourself to receive, you are in a receiving position. And it's very important for a psychic to be in that receiving position, because you can't receive information if you are sent. It's kind of like contraflow if you're projecting information rather than receiving. So this is where you ultimately receive a lot of information. And they've noticed as well in their studies that what happens is, when you receive, from the field. So first, like you get activated, your heart becomes open, you create this field, and then in transcendental states, you actually take this energy and put it back to your field, to your own field. And this is where the healing happens. And they've shown like going into these states actually changes the operating system of the body. And they've had a lot of case studies where like a lot of healings have happened. For example, the tinnitus stop, allergies, a lot of things have kind of quote unquote miraculous healing just by going into this gamma state of consciousness. So that's the application. Like the third eye is not just a transmission signal, it's as also a receiving signal. Okay, so I hope I hope that was I don't think I have time to talk about the neurotransmitters just yet. Maybe I can have that in another thing, because it's already 2:44. Parang doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. Okay, what is that? Is gamma like when you take mushrooms, or more like when you scribe? Gamma is a transcendental state. So it's when you are, the best that I can describe is when you're having ayahuasca. That's a transcendental state. That's when you're having a full-on sensory experience without using your senses. Like you're closed, you're lying down, but then you have a full-on, like feeling, seeing, hearing, everything internally. That's the gamma state. Yeah, and what you can do is when you know how to kind of regulate yourself in that state, you can use that to heal yourself as well. And I've kind of have firsthand experiences on this. I've been healed, like I've had a lot of medical conditions all throughout my life, and like the plant medicines always help me. Like the last time I went to Peru was this February. I had some kind of medical condition, and then coming back, like it got healed. So like I feel like there's some truth to what they're studying in this, but of course it's worth investigating more. And imagine like how the healing arena could be, the medical and the healing arena can be changed with this. So developing the third eye is not just about like sensing or inner awareness or reading for other people or seeing ghosts or seeing the future. It's more about like something that would actually improve your life. Yeah. Is the third eye in receiving information connected with what they say about where you're stuck with your creativity and problem, do mundane tasks, and eventually idea will pop up in your mind. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. But also, like Ron, um, there is some form of there's another in like psychic sense that's interplay, and that's the intuition, the intuition. So what's the difference between intuition and psychism? And this is like the second to the last part. After this we will have like a short activity. So the intuition, and there is one, just I want to share just one thing about intuition that I feel is very, very interesting. So intuition is like an internal compass. Yeah. Psychism is about like a perception beyond, like on the awareness of the outside. Yeah. Intuition, internal, external, psychism. Yeah. So what I would like to ask you, what do you identify with more? Do you feel that you have more internally, you have more awareness internally, or you have more awareness on the outside? Yeah, which of the two? Because it doesn't necessarily mean that because you can't like read people's minds or energies, it doesn't mean that you're not psychic or you're not intuitive. It's because some people are more intuitive, internal, connected, internally aware than others. Okay, so just tell me in the chat, what do you kind of identify with, and you reflect on that. What am I? Am I more on internally aware, or am I externally aware? Yeah. So intuition is, again, as I said, that we kind of only receive a tiny fraction of information from our senses. Yeah. And our brain can only process so much. Yeah. We've sensed that. So sometimes like intuition comes from, that you already got that information. It comes from the inside. Sometimes you already got that information, but it's just that you're not aware of it. Sometimes it's like that. Or sometimes as well, intuition will come when you are connecting to a higher state or level of awareness. It's just what we discussed earlier in the third eye, that you're able to get some form of information that you cannot possibly get when you are in this lower state of perception or awareness. Yeah. So the inner state again comes from the gut, external comes from the heart also. Then our brain processes it, our third eye gives an image of it, and like we go up and we see if there are like other extra local perceptions. So just like imagine this, like we are kind of like hard drives into a computer. So when we become aware that we are not just the heart, like we are connected, like from the mouse, we become aware that we can connect to a form of information outside of us. That's an ESP, right? And then when you kind of connect to the Wi-Fi, and that's when this state of beta waves going up to the gamma waves happens. We get connected to the highway, yeah, and then we started downloading, information that we cannot possibly learn in the state of awareness. So that's how intuition, the higher intuition is. Yeah. So we have an inner state intuition, and we have a bigger, and the external intuition, and then the bigger intuition. So that's just, thank you, technology, for giving us like certain metaphors and analogies that we can understand. Yeah. So that's our intuition. So there is a scientific exploration that may possibly explain intuition. And what is that? They go to the DNA. Okay, I will. There is a study, and the study is called the DNA are fractal antennas. They're fractal antennas. So it comes from an interdisciplinary research of biophysics, quantum biology, consciousness study, that they're saying that our own DNA can act as a receiver of non-local information and even making us able to download, you know, um, different information and at the same time sense multiple frequencies simultaneously so that it can bridge different dimensions. So imagine that you are in the gamma state and you are downloading this information. Remember what Joe Dispenza's studies are? Like it imprints whatever that you get from the field of energy when you're in the gamma state, you kind of download it in your body. And all of these are encoded, and kind of they found out that the DNA can actually store this, not only store this information, but also can have a connection to multiple frequencies simultaneously, like. And so there's this I think it's Professor Church, or yeah, from Harvard School of Medical School, I think. And what he did is they used again, genetic sequencing, right? This is something really out of this world. It looks like a sci-fi, because what he did is he created a book and he encoded it into a genetic sequence and he stored it in the DNA. You can store data in the DNA. And he even made copies of this in the DNA 60,000, no, how many times was it? 70 billion times. And they can all fit in the DNA. So imagine that our DNA is actually a storage, a hard drive. We're really a hard drive. It's not only an antenna, but also a hard drive. I would just show maybe like the study that I forgot to show the study earlier about how the DNA is a fractal antenna. Let me see if I have that here. Hopefully I have it here. I couldn't. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it. It's not here. Or maybe I can add it. Just to make you see the conclusions it has. Where are you? Where are you? There. Fractal antenna. Uploading. So in this conclusion that the DNA appears to possess two structural characteristics of fractal antenna, which is that they can sense multiple frequencies and they can store data in terms of energy. And so this Professor Church was able to do that in the physical. Yeah. So now, what is happening now, they took the human equation out of it. Now, like, there are different kinds of businesses where they offer DNA data storage packs. That's like I'm really mind blown about this, that they have now businesses where they can store petabytes of information. And if you are like in the IT and stuff, like in the computer field, and you would know, like, oh, this is great. They can store it in a DNA, so much data that they start now, using that, and they're selling it now to people. It's a valid business now. They even use different kinds of barcodes to tag them so that it will be easier. And some of them kind of use this because it's like, imagine if you store data, it requires a lot of hard, a lot of physical logistics. But if storing petabytes of data in the DNA, it doesn't require a lot. And so it could save a lot of money. And this is where the technology is heading. Especially they use now AI to kind of integrate all of this kind of data into one. So that's where we are now. We're now in the future. and we still don't know it. This is we're now in that age where we can store information in the genes. So, but what is the implication to us? The implication to us in this very moment is we are our DNA is our storage, and intuition, aside from when we reach like certain states of consciousness, it may be allowing us not only to tap into like extra local knowledge, outside of us, but also inside of us, like in a deeper sense of inside of us, our past lives, our other lives, our akashic records. And I feel that's how you can access. There's a lot of information in our DNA, our ancestral lineages, our ancestral history, our capabilities from the past. So there's a lot of amazing like implications coming from this study. Yeah, and that's how uh that's how amazing like the studies are. That's why I wanted to share this to everybody to understand, like, oh, we're really touching all, it's like we're really touching the God aspect of our humanity. But of course, there are two things. It can lead to our destruction or it can lead to our evolution. So we have to choose wisely. Okay? So let's go into like to this to the comments, and then we're gonna have again another what you call this, gifting. Is the third eye in receiving information connected what they say about where you no, we already finished this. Thank you. Okay, that she wants to connect to ayahuasca. Lynette, can we say that the third eye is often associated with heightened intuition, which allowing individuals to perceive truths beyond ordinary sight and serves as a gateway to deeper? Yes, that's what we explained. When the third eye is activated, it opens up as up. It's like a gear shifting up to different waves of brain waves into different states of consciousness that we can get like higher information. Yeah, higher intelligence. Question: can someone have the same state of consciousness when a person just got a heart transplant? Can there still be a connection? That's interesting. So I have seen this somewhere. I've read this somewhere where there is some form of heart transplant. As I said, like the heart kind of has its own nervous system. Yeah. And then like energetically, a person has its own energetic template as well. So then the question here, if the person can have the same state of consciousness, can be, but there has to be some form of harmonization between the energetic template of the person and the physical heart system. Yeah. Sometimes when you reach that form of harmony of the two, and then like, yeah, I can also can go to different states of consciousness as well. Hindi ka na magdadala ng USB flash. Exactly. Like imagine a world where we store our own data in our DNA. And I think, and I kind of like imagine a world where we just need our DNA. It's scary, but we need our DNA to be like our DNA will be our kind of like identification in the future. Gone are the IDs. And it's a little bit scary, but at the same time, it depends on how evolved we are when we reach that point. Yes, it's true that our DNA storage and features way back in our ancestors, not just psychic abilities, but with physical features, how you look and even your height. In addition, even genetic diseases too can pass down through generations. Yes, thank you, Mervin. More so, like whatever you experience now, the data that you get now is all stored in the DNA as well. Like you can, what they did in the study is they encoded it into DNA sequencing and literally stored it as like a hard drive in the DNA. Yeah. So like they have that. Amazing that they have this technology now. We have that. Sci-fi movie era. Exactly, Maria Bell. Yeah, like who could have thought? That's why it's an exciting times. So if there will become a time that everyone achieves gamma state, we will have true world peace. I hope so. I really do hope so. The thing is, not all people. What with what's happening now, it is harder to kind of like reach that state of consciousness. Uh, what we're just being asked is actually to be connected to the heart, and that when everybody's connected to the heart, we would have peace. That's the minimum requirement. But I think going into that high states of consciousness would take us even more into in terms of evolution. Like I feel that the extraterrestrials that are highly evolved has this kind of state of consciousness, the theta, delta, gamma, all the time. That's their natural state, I think. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Mary Rose, our DNA can be corrupted. Yes. And I know I'm trying to decide if I should speak up or not. But since what's happening, like with doctors in America are speaking out about the vaccine and stuff, yeah, that's how it was corrupted. It has already been corrupted. And the mRNA has corrupted our DNAs, unfortunately, that it's kind of harder to kind of reclaim our um, our basic DNA that we should. So yeah, it can be corrupted, unfortunately, Mary Rose. Okay. Reminds me of St. Augustine's quote, to know God is to return to self. Yeah. To know I have that quote in one of my presentations a long time ago. And I usually present this to people who are like seeing the sacredness of sacred relationships and how to use it for spiritual evolution. That to know God, you know yourself, and to know yourself, you have to know other. Like to see God is like to know yourself, and to know yourself, you sometimes need to see others, because the others is a reflection of the self. Yeah. And it goes back, like to see others kind is also to know others is also to know God. So it's like a triad. Maribel. Okay, so because of that, Maribel, I kind of like want to give you uh, a gift. Let's see what gift I can give you, and then let's go to the activity. So, Maribel, you win. I'm gifting you with a tarot reading with one of our paint readers. Our paint readers are very good, so I can please all those who won prizes, please message me or message the shop. Especially for this tarot reading, you can message me, Maribel. I can send you a booking form where you can book this tarot reading session with paint. So congratulations that you received this. Thank you so much. And now let's go to the last activity of today. And for this activity, it's like a mini psychic sense intuition exercise. And thank you so much for staying with me in this live stream. And I hope that through this live stream, we can also kind of share it to others that or wants to be interested in how the world is doing in terms of psychic development and how science is doing with that. So this is like a mini intuition ESP psychic exercise, and I will be using what you call the Zehner cards. Where's the Zehner cards? Yeah, this is the Zehner cards. Yeah, this is it. So it's this is designed by a psychologist. His name is Carl Zehner. So if you want to buy Zehner cards, we have here at the shop. And he's in collaboration with a parapsychologist, Dr. Ryan. I don't know the first name of Dr. Ryan. And this is more of to scientifically test, psychic abilities, right? So the Zayner cards have different, like have one, two, three. There. The Zayner cards have like one, two, three, five images. And I'm sure for those who are listeners of Stargazer, you know this. Yeah. So you have this, like the river, you have the star, you have the circle, you have this square, and you have the plus. Okay. And so the price of this activity, I will get one card from the Zayner cards, and we will do a short kind of like meditation exercise, and try to kind of tell me your answer. And the first person who will give me the correct answer, the prize is like the intuitive development course, to have like the full experience of learning with us in paint. The intuitive development course is so let me just flash that so you would understand how big of a deal it is, in the sense of how somebody who's going to be winning will let me oh, this is tarot. Yeah, that's the intuitive development course. Let me just so still join. Yeah, that's an intuitive development course. So this is like I think 20, I don't know how many sessions this is. I forgot. We will see how many sessions it will be. So this is a full course. So you have free classes, which is this one is a free class. And then there is also another class happening, which is for free on July, life-changing benefits of using your third eye and how to use them. And then also another free class is the universal laws of energy. So within this course, there are also public classes where you learn how to douse energy, learn how subtle anatomy is, how to cleanse energy, how to defend yourself and protect yourself. And you will learn how to balance what the chakras are, to have a psychic assessment of which ESP are you strong at. And you will learn different kinds of intuitive reading techniques, from psychometry, remote viewing, photo reading. And then you will learn the different kinds of beings, and also get to practice spirit communication. So it is like 20 sessions that starts in August. I think the start is August, the real start of this. Let me see. August 24th is the very start. So once that you win this prize today, you can win this prize today by guessing, not really, but reading your joining into this activity and reading. Then you will get the whole experience, meaning you will be a scholar, and your tuition fee is waived. And it's a big deal because it's for people outside the country. This is around, I forgot how much is it. Sorry. I'm a lousy promoter. I don't. Let me see. Tarot reading. Where is the intuitive there? Yeah, so the course fee is 450 euros for non-Filipinos. Early bird is before June 23. That's now minus 100 euros. It's just going to be 350 euros. And for Filipinos, the Filipinos, of course, always have a special rate. It's 15,200 for the whole course. But if you have an early bird, it's 12,500 before June 23. And whoever is going to win today, is going to get it for free. Yay! So you kind of win. Yeah. So are you ready? Can you let me know if you're ready to join this game, this mini intuition ESP psychic exercise that we're going to be. Now that you've learned, we just put together everything that we've learned, and and of course, and I will guide you through some form of exercise to somehow tap into a little bit into our third eye and into our opening up our psychic senses using our gut feel, using our heart intuition, using our, our third eye, our higher state intuition. Okay. So let me know if you're ready. I don't see anybody saying they're ready to do this. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. Kimberly says yes. Okay, so Kimberly, who would be the lucky person? So I'm now shuffling this, and I'm now gonna select one card. So this is the card that I've selected. Okay, and I will just put it down. Lynette says ready. Jefferson is ready. Maribel is ready. Let's go. Let's go. So the first thing that we need to do is to relax. Again, we want to increase our melatonin and kind of advance our melatonin in our brain, in our third pineal gland. So we close our eyes. Closing our eyes kind of like shuts the light in and kind of like filters the light so you can have like melatonin increase in your system. And then we breathe, going in a state of relaxation. We breathe with our belly. We breathe with the nose, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And why is that? Because our gut, we're trying to clear our gut. We have 100 million neurons in our gut. And breathing in and out relaxes our gut, giving a signal to our heart and our brain to activate our vagus nerves. We also activate our heart by breathing in and out with the sides of our thorax expanding. So breathe in and out with our gut and with the sides of our chest. Relaxing our body parts. Slowly putting our awareness to the middle of our forehead where our pineal gland is. So breathing in and out. And let's put ourselves in a receiving position. One of the things that we can do is to remember, what are we grateful for? Isn't it great to be here right now, right at this moment? Is it great to receive the opportunity to learn, to be more healthy, to be more aware, to be more conscious? What are you grateful for today? Put yourself in a receiving position. Feel this swell in your heart as you feel grateful. Sometimes thinking of the people that we love, the people we are grateful for in our lives also helps. And continuing the breath Making sure our abdominal muscles are contracted. And as we expand our energetic field, becoming aware of our third eye, our pineal gland, we relax to a state where we feel so relaxed and almost we want to sleep. Breathing in and out, and if there are any constrictions in your body, just make it relax, breathe through it. Imagine a funnel opening up from our head to the sky, connecting to the higher states of consciousness. Connect to the highest aspect of ourself, whatever wave is that. Just connect there, breathing in and out, relaxing, emptying, receiving. And now you would know if you are in this state, feel flowy, floating. You put your intention and you put your awareness in the middle of your forehead, putting an intention. What is the image in the Zehner card that is being held by May? Putting an intention to know by being aware of the middle of your brow. And still in a relaxed state, breathing in and out. And now go to the middle of your forehead and just allow it to unfold in your mind. Receive it in your mind. Do not make sense. Just allow it to unfold in your mind. How it looks like. Still continuing to relax. Relaxation is the key. Breathing in and out. And when there is something that unfolds in the middle of your forehead, contrast of an image in the white screen of your forehead. And when you see that image, you can type it in the chat box. And the first one who can say the image correctly will get the prize. Okay, let's see. There are people now Um, Answering. Circle. Robin says circle. Bert says wave. Lynette says star. Ash wave. Ron wave. Star. Triangle. Okay, anybody else? Triangle. There's no triangle in the it's the wave, star, circle, square, and plus. So there's no triangle in the choices. You can actually get a Zehner card, and if you want to really practice, because practice is very important in developing your psychic senses. It is something that can help you develop it. Okay, Jefferson says, Bessie says wave, Kimberly says circle, Jefferson says plus. Is there anybody else? Who do you think is correct? I'm just curious, how are these things able to unfold in your mind's eye? I think we have a winner already. I'm just waiting if maybe there are more people who wants to join. Okay, let's see. I think I will already announce. And so congratulations to this person, and that you will be you're now enrolled in the intuitive development course for free. Of course, the kit is a different thing. Kit you have to pay for because it's a materials, but the whole course you're free. My intuition is a lot of cleaning, ma'am. I don't know why triangle appeared. Okay. So sometimes, this is what you call distortion. There's also a way distortion is more of like your mind, it's saying this, but then your mind interprets it this way. And then Kimberly says the circle came in the form of a hula hoop. Okay. Yeah. So congratulations to Jefferson Briones. It is the plus. Congratulations. Whee! I don't have maybe I have something here that will in my toolbox that can give here, the confetti burst. There you go. Yay! Congratulations, Jefferson. So I think this is really for you. Yeah, I have a lot of distortions, says Arnie. Yeah, congratulations, Jefferson. And you please get in touch with me. I saw the plus sign in the forehead of a long-haired woman. Okay, there's a long-haired woman and there's a plus sign. Bert says congrats. Yes, that's very good. Okay, so that's it for today. The science, bridging science and psychism. I hope you learned a lot today, and I hope I've kind of given justice to all of these amazing researchers, scientists, and also the yogic tradition, the people who are into this energy medicine, sound medicine, all of these things, plant medicine, like all of these people. I'm just a messenger trying to connect all the data that they have collected so far And I hope I did justice and may it inspire anybody who's here with us to kind of delve more deeper, do your own research. This is from my own experiences and research. Like even now, I still learn from. I'm still looking over at science and still trying to look into what I can learn more in the other side of the field. Oh, so there's a lot of people. Congratulations. Brian O says congratulations. Yeah, Ash Blue also says, and Maria Bell. Don't fret. There are, as I said, there are like certain reasons why we are getting it, but you have to be thankful that something came out. So which means that you are receiving it, but maybe it's either you're getting in touch with another field of information. Your analytical mind might be influencing you, like there might be a certain bias as well. And sometimes there's like, there's some emotional biases as well. So these are all the things that you kind of in the practice of psychism and intuition are the things that you deal with like face to face, so you can like take them all away and have a very clear sense of of reading the energy. Yeah. Thank you, Paul, so much, Miss Al, for another learnings. I'm grateful. Thank you, Blessy. I'm also grateful for everyone here. And for those who are interested in the intuitive development course, if there is something that kind of like resonated with you tonight, or it's already nighttime. If you felt even one light bulb, imagine what a few weeks of deep learning can do. So we have intuitive development is just the basics of understanding yourself and your own psychic abilities and how you can use that. There's also the advanced one where you put them into some form of practice, and we have another teacher for that. And then there's also the apprenticeship coming for those who really want to push this further even into some kind of profession. So it is possible where our society and is already up to that level where we can understand and somehow we can make protocols of how to develop this together. Imagine a world where we're all kind of aware and expandedly aware and coherent and in higher states of consciousness. And what that would be a wow world, an evolutionary world for all of us. So thank you so much. This is Alma Yari, and from my end, I wish you well. I wish you a good life and a good Sunday and a good week. And yes, we have another. I have another free class for tarot students who are interested in tarot to learn the history of the tarot, and this is in Zoom, as well as the benefits of using the third eye will be in Zoom as well. So if you're interested, just get updated and then just register. And for those who are interested in intuitive development, we have just message me or register. Thank you for sharing your knowledge to us. Janelle said is interested in apprenticeship that will happen around more or less in August. So I'm just going to kind of post here the intuitive development course in the chat so you can. I think I copied the wrong one. There you go. So that you can look into it if this will resonate with you. So where is it? I now couldn't find the stream. There you go. So see you soon again in another live stream event or free class event, and I wish you well. Good night. Have a good week. It says there's an error that occurred. Okay, let me just my See you soon. Good night.